Okay, we're now streaming. There's something there that we need to point at and stare at. Yes. It is really coming down, wind and rain. It's never normally gets this, Phoenix.
This is why I'm convinced that our monsoon season has shifted at least 2 months. So June is no longer the appropriate time frame because of all the changes that have happened. June is no longer an appropriate beginning for the monsoon. I think it's pressed off, and I think that August is far more appropriate. And then we may see that shift come as we go, because a lot of these storms don't develop until later in the calendar year now.
Yeah. Well, I would agree 100% because just growing up here, I can remember most Thanksgivings, we were in shorts and a t-shirt. Oh, it's just not the same. And then there's been a couple that, we had flannel flannel pajamas and sweatpants, and holy crap, could you believe this? So I think there's a varying swing with with Phoenix's bipolar weather.
Yes. Mother Nature is off her meds again. And because my grandparents lived down in Tucson, a lot of my family, my mother's family lives down in Tucson. And so we would go to Tucson for Christmas every year. Thanksgiving, you would go down, and usually it would be cold. It would be chilly. Long sleeves were appropriate.
Yeah.
Maybe there might be a storm. Okay. But December, Christmas. Go for it.
I've got to get the pizza out of the oven. I'm sorry. Yeah, this is like monsoon level.
Yeah.
Words you don't hear in Phoenix a lot. Inclement weather.
Yes.
I can see into my neighbor's backyard, that distance, but beyond that, it's white. Light gray, white.
Well, I can believe it. The front yard here, quite literally, almost the entire yard was flooded with about 2 to 3 inches of water this morning during the storm that came through from last night and then picked up this afternoon. Now all of that has absorbed or run off, so I'm waiting for the next bit.
Here it comes.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Well, maybe this means that we will get, I guess they got some of their first snow out of this cluster of storms way up north. So
hopefully
this may mean that we get some decent snow. We might get some nice snowpack out of this year. Yeah. So maybe Winter Haven down in Tucson will get snow, maybe Snow Bowl, Sunrise. These guys will get the snow that we have been lacking. The other thing that happened was this year, I think we had a longer snow season up in Snow Bowl, Sunrise. I think it lasted an additional month this year, so that is another point that kind of, I think, goes along with the idea that there's, at least in the short term, there is a mild shift in the timing within the calendar for us.
You never know. This is a weird state. Most of the time it's going to be hot. Like even now it's pissing down with rain, but it's actually super humid and oppressive. But still, it's only like the low 80s. It should be, chilly for us. Other people hear that.
Yeah.
80 is chilly? When you run around at 120, oh, God, yeah, 80 is 20.
That's right. That's what I love is it's 110 degrees, and the storm rolls through, and you look at it, and it's 72 degrees outside for the next 10 minutes, and then, and then the heat comes back, and the moisture comes in.
The Earth is a beautiful prison. We love it so. It's so nice. Well, one of the beauties of the show is we never know who's going to join us or not. But you were telling your dad and the yacht story, and then the cooking and the naughty couple just a minute ago before. Okay, the pizza's out of the oven. I took it out and I cut it, and I'm like, it's not ready. So I put it back in, and now it's all puffy and a little darker brown, so I'm all happy now. There you go.
There you go.
That's all you need.
That's right.
Okay, don't tell the story. So we had our first success.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, the reason why I like the nautical stuff and the yachts and whatnot, for years growing up, we always had boats. My father grew up in San Francisco. He was in the Italian neighborhood, Italian family, and many of the families in the neighborhood that he grew up in were fishermen. So as a kid, he used to go out and work the fishing boats with all of his buddies, with their parents. So he would go out and do that. So for years growing up, we always had a boat. We started with a small boat. When my father passed away, we had about a 26-footer, nice cuddy cabin, so we could trailer behind the vehicle. But his dream was always to have a live aboard in San Francisco. That's where he grew up. That's where he wanted to be. He'd love to have a live aboard in San Francisco or Sausalito or up in the Delta in Sacramento, because you can take the boat back and forth.
Yeah.
He passed away before he got to do that. So I'm at the age now where I'm kind of looking at things like that, and I'm thinking, okay, this would be fun. And I like to look at them. And it's interesting because now these folks are younger. So many of the ones that are making these videos are the ages of our kids.
Oh, wow.
So they're talking about old boats, which I remember when they were brand new. So they're talking about, there's this 1986 Choi Lee 70-footer that came from Taiwan, and this is a classic boat. I'm like, that's not a classic boat, for Christ's sake.
These are catamarans. They're brand new. No. They've been stringing those together from old boats in the Caribbean since 1652.
Oh,
no,
and it's just
new.
Okay.
Okay, I'm okay.
But it's just been fun to watch as I'm looking at it. And I look at it, and I remember reading the yachting magazines with my father and seeing, this is a 65-footer from Choi Lee that was retailing at the time. Suggested retail was $250,000. That was a lot of money back in the 80s. Holy cow, you're wealthy. Yeah. And now you're looking at it, and it's like, and these are affordable liveaboards. This one is available for $35,000, and I about fall out of my chair. What? What?
Well, the other thing is, or even the funnier thing is when you grow up landlocked and you have this romanticized view of a boat, and then you actually hang out on a boat or like a little larger than a 20-footer, and you're like, oh man, how do you do this? How do you live in such cramped living spaces? So
well,
that's always interesting.
My thought would be, because my father used to talk about it all the time. So if I could have I figure a 60-footer would be perfect. If you're going to dream big enough that you can do it without having to hire anybody. So a nice 60-footer, and the right kind of a 60-footer, you can go up and down the coast, but you could easily sail it. And if you bought it on the East Coast, you can sail it down along the coast to the canal, to the Panama Canal, come across, sail it up the West Coast, all the way up into Canada, and bring it back. Yeah. So that would be fun. That would be nice to me. That would be a great thing. But that's you're retired and you're like, okay, to hell with everybody. What are you doing? Well, I'm calling Grandpa. How you getting Grandpa? I'm getting him on the sat phone.
I got an uplink. We just caught a satellite. Yeah. It's a very romanticized. I think it's a lot easier to do now in the modern day than you really have to know what you're doing to be one of these guys. Oh, he went all the way around the world, just him and his dog, So
Yeah.
I think it's a little that much traveling is more. It's in a sense, it's likened to the older couples that don't want to live in like Sun City or a retirement home, and they just book
they get
cruises.
an RV and off they go.
Or the RV. I was going to go, since we were on nautical, they just book the cruises, and they just and here
live
and then I'm
the
going to the Love Boat.
And that was the thing. You talked about it being more difficult. My father, like I said, my father learned from a lot of the fishermen. So he learned how to operate a sextant as a kid.
Oh, wow.
So he could shoot the stars. Well, when he went into the Air Force and he became a pilot, they had to learn how to navigate by shooting the stars as well inside the aircraft. So they had a dome, a glass dome on the top of the bombers, and they used to have to navigate by shooting the stars and figuring out where they were going. So he could do all of that stuff, and he was
sorry.
And it was just it was funny because they were just starting as he was getting close to retirement. They were just coming out with the Garmin GPS navigation system, and he looked at him. He goes, "I wouldn't trust that fucking thing. I got a compass, and I got my sextant, and I got my dividers, and my parallels. And
I got a cork with a magnetized needle and a little bit of water on the. We're going that way.
And
that's awesome.
He could do it, and it was funny for me. It's like I want 4 of those fucking GPS things on 60-inch screens right in front of me. I want to be able to see everything.
My problem is I trust my instincts on stuff like that way too much, and on the land, that's okay. You're going to do okay. I normally do okay. I'm a stop and ask for directions kind of guy because I don't give a shit about that. Men don't ask for directions. Sometimes men need a snack at the Circle K.
That's right. Do you have one of these in stock? And by the way, where can I find such and such?
Yeah. You know where 35th Avenue is? Yeah. So when you were describing that and him being in the plane, I was having Indiana Jones and the Last Crusades flashback. Dad, 11 o'clock! And he takes out. What happens at 11 o'clock?
No.
Dad, 11. Shoot! So your dad with the sextant. Okay, it's over there. Right there. Look, 5, 10.
Oh, God. My father would call out. We would go to Mexico, and we would he bought bigger boats so that he could take them out in the ocean going to Mexico. And I realized that as a young man, I did not have sea legs or a sea stomach for being in 19-footers, 21-footers in heavy seas. Dad, he didn't think twice about it. It didn't bother him at all. I'm on the front of the boat, and I was like, I don't remember having pizza this week.
That's bile. That right there, that's bile. I think the rain has stopped, and it's actually getting a little. Here comes the sun. It's Arizona. The best thing about there's many wonderful things about it. Marx Brothers, 1934 animal crackers, and Harpo and Chico are stealing a painting, and they get the painting, and they open a door on the right part of the set, and it's all rain and lightning and thunder. No. And then they walk across the room and Harpo opens the other door, and it's birds and sunshine and happiness, and Harpo's like, and Chico goes, California!
Exactly.
Also Arizona. It's going to rain all day, For about an hour, but it's going to be really bad. Like, and then probably maybe a mist later, possibly a drizzle, and then it's already. You don't understand how hot it is here.
Grandpa used to say that Arizona is the only place in the world where the rain is so localized that the barbed wire only rests on one side.
Accurate.
When I was in high school, I took photography class, and we were doing black and white at the time.
Oh, nice.
And up at the ranch, Grandpa had just had me string a new set of barbed wire.
That explains the picture in your living room.
And it was strung right next to the old barbed wire. So the old barbed wire is rusty. Yeah. New barbed wire is brand new. So I look at it, and Grandpa says, "That's a picture for your class." Yep. And here's the caption. And so I took the picture. I don't know where the hell that picture's at, but I took the picture. That was the caption. And the instructor who had grown up here, he looked at it and he just roared with laughter. He says, "Yep, even if the picture was out of focus, you get an A." Thank you.
That right there. And it's weird, too. I first heard it when I was a teenager and talking to a guy and, we're already 5 minutes in. Hello and welcome to the Supreme Council of the Master Geeks Lodge. I am one of your co-hosts, Bill Kelly, Hornswoggle the Great, and with me tonight, so far, we have, I don't know, who's going to come?
Rob the Blacksmith, the old man who you'll recognize in your neighborhood as the guy with the long hair and the beard and the cigar or cigarette, I don't do cigarettes, and sitting out on the front porch yelling at the children, either to tell them, "Good job, nice work," or "Get the hell off my rocks."
Get out of here. I just think it's funny that you named your character Todd the Cavalier. That's hilarious.
I figured it had to be, you got to have fun with it. It's like when we played the first time with Rob, and we were doing it all online during COVID, I figured, what is a better name for a halfling than Bob?
Oh, Bob.
And that was perfect because every time something happened that Bob didn't know what was happening, what was Bob's refrain? "Bob is helping."
It did work.
I taught my grandson to say that. He was in the yard. I was making that desk I have, and he was helping me plane the desk. So I gave him a little hand plane, and he was going after it. And he looked at me, he says, Papa, am I doing a good job?" I said, "Yeah." And then I pulled out my phone, and I went to record him. I said, "Do me a favor. While you're doing that, then I want you to stop and look up at me and say, 'Bob is helping.'" And so he did it. And I was like,
probably the same size as a halfling. I mean, they're only like 3.5 feet. They're not very big. Gnomes are smaller, but still.
I told him, you just made Papa's day. Thank you so much.
Yes, I'm going to keep this forever. And laugh at it 3 times a day. No, I thought it was funny in the beginning because what are you playing? Oh, I'm playing a cleric. I'm already playing a cleric. Why are you playing a cleric? Because I want to play a cleric. Okay, the only reason that I picked cleric, the Band-Aid Brigade, is because nobody else really wants to play clerics. And if I had known that you were going to want to play a cleric, I would have picked a elven wizard or, something else. Because then we don't have artillery. So, but, I mean, I think in a sense, it's going to work out just as fine because we have double healing. And usually you have the druid-cleric combination. Yeah. And the druid has a lot of healing spells, and they're great healers. But predominantly they're going to have more nature-oriented spells, which are going to come in handy when you're in, the wilderness and stuff like that, cliffs, mountains, all that fun, the swamp, But I think it worked out very well. I'm glad your son is having a good time.
Well, and this is why I wanted to have Rob do it, because I knew that Rob would make it work, even if my fear was if we pulled together a group of 10 players plus Rob, and 5 of them were newbies, and you get 5 of them who all want to be clerics or wizards or something. So suddenly you have this band of wizards that are making their way through. And I knew that Rob would be able to go, you know what? I can adjust this. We can play and we can have a good time. If you want to have 27 orcs, I don't care. I'll adjust and we'll make it happen.
Yeah.
So,
Oh no, it's going to be fine. And he's really good at keeping the flow going and making the game interesting and exciting all along. Do I have a cat talking to me? That's what it sounds like. Hey, I want treats. Too bad. Oh, what's the cigar for episode 43?
Episode 43.
Hell yeah.
So, some people poo-poo these, but I am a big fan of Gurkhas. And this is the Gurkha Cellar Reserve 12 year. So this is, let me see if you can see that over.
Up 12, I see that. It's a gray or silver label, black writing, aged. Yep.
So it's the Gurkha Cellar Reserve, and they've got a number of different ones in the Cellar Reserve line. Different color labels basically speak to the blend that is in the cigar, so the wrapper and whatnot. So this one is a medium. Yeah, I'd say this one is a nice medium with kind of a full hint, full note. So it's a little stronger, but it's not overpowering. The lighter labels tend to be more of a mild to a medium flavor. I like Gurkha because they started out as more of a boutique blend for quite some time during the initial rollout. They become a larger house. They've got probably 15 or 20 different lines, different labeled lines that they have made throughout the years. And they keep a stable, I think, of about 7 to 10 regularly that they produce and they put out. Some people kind of badmouth them now as, they're not as good, they're not as premium. I would tend to disagree. But the thing I like about them is the one thing I look for in a cigar is a consistency. If I'm looking for a particular type of a cigar, if I want a Macanudo, I'm expecting something from a Macanudo.
Yeah.
If I want a Cohiba, I'm expecting something from a Cohiba. The Gurkhas, when I pick one of their line, when I pick one from any of the larger houses, I'm looking for a specific flavor note that I want to get from that at that particular point in time. The other fun that I have, and we've talked about this before, is I enjoy going to cigar lounges and looking for sticks that I haven't had, or looking for a new blend that's come out from a line that I enjoy. And that's often fun too. I mean, you can find stinkers pretty quick, but it's nice to be able to go in and find a stick that you haven't had before and try it and enjoy it and find something new to add to the repertoire.
Oh no. The reason that there's always a reason that DM Rob hasn't joined us is apparently he is without power.
Oh shoot.
Tonight. And well, you just heard me talk about all the
well, yeah, because he's out in Tempe, so he's in the brunt of. I was on YouTube earlier today. There was a storm chaser group that was live, and they were out in Scottsdale chasing this storm. And I guess the National Weather Service had identified that the storm that was making its way here from down south was expected to build into a supercell as it moved through the East Valley. And so I have every reason to believe then that it did what it intended to do, and Rob is now reaping the rewards, as it were.
Yeah, it's a very Monday. Monday. Yeah. It's the Mondayest Monday in a long time. we can blame Christopher Columbus. People are still all upset about that on Facebook. Dude, it's not even a real holiday. Shut up.
Oh, my favorite is the battle back and forth. And, well, he discovered America. Well, let's talk about that.
No. No.
No, he didn't discover anything. He got lost. And besides, Leif Erikson got here before him.
Way
And besides,
before.
there are other groups that got here before that.
Yeah.
So, if you really want to talk about it, there's all those people that were walking across that bridge long before anybody else got here.
That argument is never, ever going to win or be over. But it's also National Train Your Brain Day. Yes, that's right. You came back from the future and told yourself through our podcast that you're going to retrain your brain. I have no idea what that means. So I guess it's do a crossword, study a foreign language, try your hand at some logic puzzles to keep your brain sharp and improve your mind. National
Talk to a 4-year-old.
Yeah. Lose your shit. National M&M Day, National Disaster Day, National Heritage Day in the Turks and Caicos Islands, and National No Bra Day. I've never been more comfortable.
Yep. Yes.
Go, ladies. Free yourself from your constraints and go braless to help raise awareness about breast cancer. Okay, that's serious. I'm not going to joke about that. It killed my grandmother, my mom. I'm worried about my daughters and my sisters. It's breast cancer is no joking. It's funny to, raise awareness for it, but it's no laughing matter. People die.
No, not at all. It's I have a very, very dear friend who has come through that, and I am grateful that she is coming through that on the positive note. And,
yeah.
I will discuss none of her details, but I will always send out. So if you're watching, you know who you are. Hooray, happy day.
Yeah, get tested. Don't put it off. It's a serious thing. Save the tatas. I love those bumper stickers. You don't see them anymore.
Yeah. Go to the doctor and be checked, or, self-evaluation, or get with your friends. And ladies, it is an appropriate thing to get with your girlfriends and do that. And if you have a question, always take it to your doctor and go through that.
So in honor of that,
and have similar conditions in other areas of their bodies, but we do not talk about it the same way because we're men.
We're manly men. We're too busy making up names for your boobs, which now we're going to spend the next 4 hours. No, we're not. We're not going to do that. You'll fall asleep before that. You'll fall asleep before we run out of slang terms for breasts.
Of course.
And you'll be like waking up, knee-high bomb shooters. Smoking jumblies.
Oh. Something I have noticed, apparently breasts? A new TikTok trend is the ladies going around in body paint rather than clothing and doing different things. So they get body painted like they're wearing a bikini or they're wearing a half shirt, shorts or something like that. And they go, and they're little short quips and clips and snippets. And I look at it and I think, there's a part of me, of course, that says, "Oh, wow, okay, that's great.
That's sexy, that's hot. Oh, yeah, baby." But the other half is, dude, there's kids running around in public.
Exactly. I'm the old man now thinking, my goodness, she needs a jacket.
Yeah. You've changed. You got old. I have children now. Yeah. I
have grandchildren.
Yeah. I have gone from way left to way right because that's what sometimes children does to you. That's now I'm boring. Sorry, that's being responsive. That's the price you pay.
I worry about my grandchildren, and I see my grandchildren in every young woman that I see walking by. I now see my granddaughters. It's like, now
you look at women differently after you raise them. So it's like, oh, look at her. Oh no, why not? Same age as my kid. That's disgusting.
And say, what are you looking at? 5 to 7 with good behavior.
But no. Ew, no.
I'm sorry,
What?
we are closed.
No Scottish Rite tonight. Oh yes, they got all the other nights of the week. Yeah. Well, that's unfortunate that Rob is not having any power. That sucks.
Yeah.
That absolutely sucks. Yeah. Oh, also, yeah, Ed's, hopefully Ron will be able to make it next month. Ed, I was over there today picking up the base for the the umbrella that was broken, but I fixed it by accident. And he wanted to be there, and I said, dude, you could totally play your half-orc, because there's already a half-orc in the party. Oh, well, then I'll play something else. No, you can have a bunch of half-orc barbarians. That's a plus. It's like you, Joe, you don't want like 5 wizards. You guys are going to get wiped out in the second room, because as soon as you get, you've already blown your load with all the first level spells. Magic missile. What do you have to back it up? Oh, Tensor's floating disc. Okay,
The staff of I hate you.
Yeah, that's like hitting him with a frisbee. That doesn't really. It does 1 stun damage, but stun damage isn't a thing in D&D. He's happy. I don't want to take that away. It's okay.
That's right. Don't do anything. Yeah. See, that's where a dungeon master or a game master who wants to do it, who's looking forward to just the camaraderie and having a good time. That's when they throw things in like, okay, your 5 wizards come into this room. The room is 16 by 80, and it's 80 feet long, and there's 12 orcs at the other end of the room. What are you guys going to do? Oh, you shot your load. You don't have anything to do. Suddenly, from behind them, 3 Catholic nuns come out with holding their yardsticks like samurai blades, and they cut down the orcs, and they usher you out of the room. Let's move on.
Prayer beads of death. It's still the desert, even though it's super humid. We're still dying of thirst, even though water is everywhere. He did that very well, and I joke. Ron and I were talking about it, and I'm like, he's running the Pharaoh, and he's like, I don't remember it. And then he said it was probably on the shelf at Hobby Bench when there used to be PV Mole, and that's where Ron and I got all our gaming stuff from. And yeah, it was there, but we're desert kids. So the possibility, because they had, 4? Pre-Al-Qadim, they had desert, Sahara kind of landscape with shifting sands and dunes and sinkholes and that's in Arizona, but that's only in certain areas, mostly out near Yuma, where they filmed Return of the Jedi for Jabba, like that. Tanzania and there, because Yuma's this weird place where it looks like a long time ago there was an ocean, but now it's gone.
Yeah.
Millions of years ago. You're not going to find any, So when you saw that as a kid and growing up in I don't want to play a desert campaign. We're going to spend half the time worrying about how much water we have.
That's right. So we need 5 draft horses and a big cart.
One of them.
Lots of water.
That's why he's like, do you want to split up the resources? Absolutely, yes. Oh, my God. I've seen Battlestar Galactica and Wagon Train. I know how this plays. Oh, sorry, Squidget. I know, I'm yelling. I know how this plays out.
Yeah. That's why he decided to follow through with everybody else during the game, because it's like, what's the first rule? And you shared the song. Don't split the party.
Never split the party. Well, the first rule is a universal gaming rule, and I think it was first mentioned in Dungeon or Dragon magazine. I think it was Dragon magazine. But whenever, and you already had him with a barbarian, so I said it as an afternote because he's already done it. He already did what you're supposed to do. You already talked him into that. So if you're playing a game you don't know anything about, You don't know anything about the game. No one's ever told you anything. The cover looks cool. You know one person who talked about it once and it sounded neat. They say in the article, repeat after me. I want to play a fighter character. That way you know exactly what your job is. There's no question. If you're a thief, you have to know the many subtle social levels of wherever you're at. You have to know lore. You have to know the intricacies of what guild life is like. Not just the Thieves Guild either. You have to be up on Wizards Guild, Merchants Guild, Sailors Guilds, Mercenaries Guilds, because your guild is interacting with those guilds a lot of the times. So many times in a huge city like Waterdeep or even Baldur's Gate. Well, Baldur's Gate's not as used. Anyway, that it's that the thieves, if they're doing something that they need a lot of muscle, and thieves are not notoriously known for. There's a couple big Conan-sized thieves, but they're rare. That's why they say in the whole first movie, you're too big to be a thief. You're too big. Because, yeah, you got to be like Subutai. You got to be smaller. You got to be like 5'9" or slimmer and slighter. You can't have some 6'8" thief. There he is. Well, they're gonna know immediately.
Yeah. You have to blend in wherever you're at. A 5'9" tall guy who's kind of tall, short, kind of dark, light hair, kind of medium, heavy build, kind of it's what did he look like? Him or them over there.
And
so
one of the best things is if you decide to play a wizard, and Harry Potter is actually a good. In the Harry Potter universe, you've got the 4 wizards, but the magic is across the board until they start breaking it down into the classes in school. And they talk about divination and herbology and all this other stuff. If you're in Dungeons and Dragons, you've got schools of magic that really don't have anything. Well, okay. Necromancy's a little evil. I mean, but most of the, normal conjuration, abjuration, it's only a couple of them. Now I'm getting phone calls. Any other time my phone never rings, but when I'm doing something, thank you. I have to call him back. So, I guess the worst thing is that they don't really. It would be boring if you got into it in the movies. It would be like listening to Hobbit genealogy for the first Fellowship of the Rings, which is about an easy 105 page. It's just on and on and on and on and on and on. And all of Bilbo's ancestor. It sounds like books out of Genesis. So-and-so beget so-and-so, and so-and-so moved into Bag. Because Bag End has existed for a really long time, and a whole bunch of tiny people have lived in there from generation to generation. But with like big cities and magic, if you have aptitude for magical ability and you're growing in a little village somewhere and you're either brought to like a harvest gathering or so, you're brought to somewhere where there's a lot of people, and eventually someone with a magic talent is going to go, hey, you should go so-and-so, or you should talk to so-and-so, or something to that effect. And that's pretty much like making up your backstory for playing a wizard in Dungeons & Dragons. You just don't wake up one morning and find a spell book and suddenly you can just blast off these 0-level cantrips. Cantrips are 0-level spells. They're like mini magic. Like a lot of stuff they do in Harry Potter where they just like do one thing. Cantrips are like moving a small 5-pound object with the Force when you're playing Star Wars. It's very, you could do it several times a day. It's nothing. So usually you're going to be steered to the school that you show aptitude for, whether it's divination, whether it's, oh God, how many of them? Elementals. There's like 8, obduration, divination, enchantment, conjuring, because those are all your summoners, the dudes that summon demons and shit. Not all of them are.
And then the one that everybody loves, the one that everybody knows, if you played original Dungeons and Dragons, the first I don't care who you were. Everybody started out with the first two spells. Everybody got Magic Missile, and now the other one that they love to make fun of on Facebook with that Punky Doodles is all the wizards standing around screaming "Fireball" and then drinking whiskey.
5, 6, 7, 8. 8 schools of magic: abjuration, conjuration, divination, enchantment, evocation. I was forgetting illusion. I always forget that one. That one pisses me off because it ain't real. I mean, it's real, but it ain't real. Necromancy and transmutation. All of your transmute stone to mud and all the, which comes in handy.
Full Metal Alchemist. Yeah.
Oh, totally. But those are, so you have to subscribe to one of those schools or pick the path of generalist, which I always pick the path of generalist because there are no positives and there are no negatives. There are no schools you can't learn, but you don't get a bonus spell for being into conjuration. Like if you're into divination, you cannot do necromancy. They cancel each other out. But you get extra spells in divination. Same thing with conjuration or any of the other. If you do this, you can't do that. If you do this, you can't do that. So that's why I always pick. Yep. You'll notice that I always pick generalist because then don't you have an extra spell? No, I sacrifice that to make no go away.
I can do something from everything, but I can't do everything from any one thing.
Yeah.
And I have to become, if I become a level 2000 wizard, and a generalist, then I have a tower with every book known to wizards for every one of the schools, but I still can only do one at a time.
I have an army of 5th level people that beg to copy these books for me. Oh, please, that one. No, not that one. Here, you can have this one.
That's right. When I get to that level, I just hire others. What do? Well, I need a necromancer. What level are you? 10th level necromancer. Guess what? Want a job?
It's cool, too, because... hold on. Let me text now that there's been a call. Sorry.
No, I'm looking to see if there was a voicemail from the person who made the call. Nope. So it wasn't important. Love it when that happens.
And still, you have to deal with the social aspects, subtle nuances, and differences between the schools. Because let's say you're doing a campaign and you're out in the middle of nowhere and all of a sudden here's this bizarre tower. And now there's a weird wizard in there and he won't talk to you because you're a certain school. So you're going to have to figure out a way to get him to talk to you because it's part of the plot that the DM has come up with. It's what happened with this weekend when as soon as those dervish guys came out of nowhere and they didn't attack us immediately, it's like, we got to tell these guys exactly the truth or we're going to have a big fight.
That we have all kinds of trouble.
Because I think the way he reacted, he expected us to attack them because of how we reacted to the guys made out of sand. He figured we were... No, you made them sound terrifying. So, we attacked them right away. These dudes are just standing in an entrance. And any minute now, they're going to say, halt, who goes there? And what happened?
Hi.
You look lost. 800 miles long. Yeah, that's us.
Well, that's why I figured I'd pick the knight. Because the knight makes it easy. And Rob said, I think this kind of goes towards more of how you play. And I thought, okay, this is fine. I can be the tank with a conscience. So, and Zach liked playing the half orc or the barbarian because he doesn't have to think as much for it.
Yeah.
I mean, he understands it's having played the online versions and all of that stuff with his mother for so long, Final Fantasy stuff. He understood the idea of, okay, this is a basic character. Hulk smash. I don't have to know a whole hell of a lot to just be able to figure out how this whole process works. Then I can start to expand.
You're going to realize how annoying barbarians are to play them at about 10th level when everyone has cool, awesome magic stuff, but you just have a shit ton of hit points.
That's right. Yeah, so you can walk up to the Lich King and grab a hold of him by his hair, pick him up off the ground.
The rest
he's
of us
going to
are
hit you 10 or 50 times. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You know.
You're holding on to the Lich King by his throat. Meanwhile, you're holding him so that everybody else can get magic attacks on him. And you're just taking hits. No, go ahead. Hit me again.
Soaking the damage up like nothing. Barbarians are so much fun to play. Like, even a all-barbarian party would be a lot of fun to play. Because let's play an evil party. Dude, after a while, it's formulaic. It's the same thing over and over. We're going to go into a town. We're going to pretend to be good. We've got to, oh no, they did attack the lineman. Our cover's blown. We got to run or fight our way out. So it's that's why I like, in Shadowrun, you don't have no alignment because there aren't any alignments. But what you can do is anytime you want, you can perceive into the astral plane. And people look like, they do in Predator. It's all auras. So you're going to be able to tell if they have ill intent to the party.
Yeah.
That does not mean they're evil. That does not mean they're up to no good. The guy could not like the shirt of your decker. And that could be the ill intent. But the way the magic works, if you're very low level, I'm going to kill you, and I'm not okay with your shoes look exactly the same in the astral plane when you're just starting out. When you get way more powerful, you're like, okay, that guy. That's our guy.
Yeah, because fuck that guy.
Yeah.
What? Okay.
It's the same thing as detect lie. There is like a detect lie, but there's a force truth spell in the book. It's really brutal. But you just when you ask them, okay, so you and I are holding a biker guy who got paid a lot of money to try to kill us, and you grab him by the throat, and you're like, tell us who paid you. And if I'm magic and I'm perceiving while you're interrogating him, and he tells you, nobody. And I said, he's holding something back. He's not letting you know everything he knows. I can't tell you he's lying because the spell doesn't work like that. It's a lot more based on emotions from perceiving that. It's change. It's 6. I'm quoting 2nd level because that's what I know the best. But it's now on 2nd level. 2nd edition of the game. But now it's on 6. And it's a lot changed. Well, it was the problem with DMing Shadowrun and 2nd edition and playing with Ron and Paul. And everything. Paul was playing an Orc Street Sam, but he got a data jack. So now he can jack into the Matrix. And now he's half Decker. He's never going to be as good as a real Decker, but he can still do awesome stuff. He can still surf the web. He can still... Because when I'm running a campaign, I'm going to give you an NPC Decker because it is so damn boring for the rest of the party. If one of them plays a Decker, it's kind of necessary. You need one, or you need somebody to be like a Street Sam with a data jack and given some extra essence to make storage space, or you just have a giant deck that's fucking awesome that costs like 10 million new yen. But when you're starting out, you've got, everything's from Kmart. Shit,
Yeah,
it's
that's
not.
why you have to have one gorilla.
You
And that way,
do.
the gorilla is holding the guy by the throat while you're detecting. Say, well, he's holding something back. Then the gorilla
Yeah.
asks, "Okay, now you're going to tell me what you need to tell me, or I'm going to take your thumb off."
And they really changed everything in third, fourth edition, because if you were a troll or a troll in second edition or first edition, the racial max for your intelligence is 4. Average human intelligence is 3. Maximum human intelligence unaugmented is 6, because it is a 6 dice setup. It's a 6 dice game. So you roll handfuls of 6-sided dice when you get super powerful. And I was telling Rob, because he's never played it really, and I said, I prefer the Shadowrun magic system, because in D&D, if you find a scroll, you can copy that scroll into your spell book and eventually teach yourself that spell.
Yeah.
In Shadowrun, the magic's a little different. It comes from basically 2 pipelines of 2 conduits, 2 ways that magic in Shadowrun is a living essence coming from the astral or the ethereal plane, using your body as a conduit into the prime material plane. So, you get a spell called Mana Dart, and you have Mana Dart at level 3. It's average level. It's a pretty good stay the fuck away from me spell. What it does, it attacks the life essence of living things, living creatures, animals, insects, fish, people, birds, whatever. So it doesn't do anything physically to physical. That's what you have. Power. You have power dart, power bolt, power ball, power blast. You have to be careful with that one. And then you have mana dart, mana bolt, mana ball, mana blast. And these are your levels of spells. All of them are useful in different scenarios. If it's just one dude and you're not being paid a whole lot of money to turn him into goo, you don't need to use mana blast. You can just kind of dart him unconscious, put him in handcuffs, and take him to wherever you're dropping off the bounty to meet up with whoever your contact is. But the magic, if you're a hermetic mage, it's Goodwill Hunting, it's Rain Man, it's A Beautiful Mind. These are all massive calculations that fit on walls that are dry erase boards. And you have your hermetic mages have a savant level capability of advanced trigonometry and calculus, and it takes half a second, and boom, there's the spell. However, the price you pay is all of that fantastic energy goes right through your body, so you have to roll drain. So every time you cast a spell, you roll drain. If you miss your drain, you definitely knock yourself unconscious. Well, I should say you're definitely in pain. You could knock yourself unconscious, and oh man, if you mess up Mana Blast and you have it at a really high level and you're a really low level, you can explode your own brain. It could be scanners.
And that's for those watching and listening who may not necessarily be aware of it. If you're an anime fan, that is embodied very well in Full Metal Alchemist series and a few others, where for them to draw upon this power that comes from the other world, whatever, there has to be an exchange. There must be, as their mantra is the equal exchange. To do this, you must give that. Yeah. There must be an equal exchange. And so what you're talking about is that same idea of the equal exchange. You're going to give of yourself to present this, to make this happen. And your dice rolls are what tell how much of yourself you must give to make this happen.
Because you can, there's no levels in Shadowrun, there's levels in D&D. That's very important because it's a little harder when you grab a module off the shelf. Well, what level is it? Hold on.
Yeah.
I have to look at some of the NPCs, and I have to flip back to the end to see how many karma points you get. Because at the end of a campaign in D&D, you'll get thousands of experience points to go to the next level. That's the goal, to get so many experience points that you hit the next level. In Shadowrun, you'll be lucky to get 6 karma points, and you have to spend those points to raise your levels and abilities. And here's the problem with 1st edition through 5th edition with Shadowrun, and the paradox of the 6th edition. In Shadowrun, you're allowed to raise 1 attribute, not magic or essence, not essence. You're allowed to raise 1 attribute 1 time. That's it. It costs the next level of karma. And then you raise that. And then you're supposed to be a good little player and put a little line. 6th edition, there's no cap. What? Why even have skills? Why even have sub-skills? Fuck it. You don't need pistols. You don't need to specialize in offhand so you can walk into a room and just obliterate everybody. You don't need that. You just got, you're godlike now. Because Shadowrun is like Star Wars. They're very, very similar. And in a way, Vampire and Vampire the Masquerade, where if you're a Jedi or if you're a caster, you know what, I'm getting way ahead of myself because I didn't explain shamanic magic, because in Shadowrun, the magic operates in the game system exactly the same way. But when you're a shaman, if you're a wizard, okay, if you're a street mage and I'm a street mage and you wanted to learn Cure Light Wounds level 3, we would roll and, attributes and everything, and then you would spend X amount of days or weeks with me, and you and I every single day would spend a day going over the fucking calculation that's huge on how to do this spell, and you're going to pay me a little bit of money, but you walk away guaranteed to be able to throw this spell with the accuracy that I can throw it at, because this is the calculation. I learned from Steve, who learned from Bob, who learned from, because 2011, everybody starts getting magical abilities, and Dragon and Bigfoot, Kraken start waking up and walking out of the forests and mountains. And then there's a dragon that Quetzalcoatl basically says, okay, everything north of Phoenix is mine now. You're all called Azadland. Here's this fun new company called Oro Gold. Well, Oro is gold. Anyway, he's like the number one. Most of the dragons are bad. There's one really good one, and they end up killing his ass. They're still trying to figure out in the game who did that. Anyway, so it's part of the big main story. So and we have to hang out all day and live together basically till you learn the spell. With the shaman, it's a calling. You're gonna have an animal, and the animals are going to be coming to you your whole life. Like the actual book they made is called Never Cut a Deal with a Dragon, and you follow the life of a guy called, they call him Twist, becomes his street name. But he starts out as a desk jockey. He's a wage slave. He sits at a terminal all day doing like accusations or logistics. I can't remember exactly what he does. But he's got a data jack. And when the book starts, he recently gets it. And this is 2054 Seattle. So all of the slang is, what's the whiz, chummer? They use the word chummer all the time. They use all these different words to describe things. Everything's wizard, like the early Star Wars, because that wizards are amazing and they actually exist in their world. So yeah, you're going to bring them into the vernacular. So every time he uses his data jack, he gets a headache, and dogs will not leave him alone. They follow him all over the place. He has his own dog, and when he's out walking his dog, dogs are coming up to him. When he's trying to get to work, dogs are coming up to him. And then he finds out later he's a dog shaman all this time. That's why your implant hurts. That's why dogs will not leave you alone. You're one of them. So with the shaman, it's different. It isn't a calculation. It's a dance, ritual, song, spell, like a
It's the druidic, the natural style. So the druidic style.
Yeah, you and I are owl shamans, and all of a sudden you want to learn how to do Wrecker, which is an amazing, a highly underrated spell, which nobody knows about when they start. And by the time the game's over, you're using it because it affects mechanical and electrical things. Like, boom, stop the car. Boom, stop the VTOL or the helicopter. Oh, they're going to come up the elevator. Bah! No, they're not. Roll for drain. Oh, you fucked it up. And they're Decker. I can't get it going. I can't get the elevator back online. No.
Not going to happen.
Something really badly mechanical went wrong. He cast that at 5th level. It's fucked up. Because 1 is feeble, 2 is below average, 3 is average, 4 is improved, 5 is superior, 6 is maximum superior, and then you are either a magical creature or augmented, or there's a few humans with attributes of 7 naturally, but it's an extreme circumstance. They're like a prodigal genius, or they've been training forever. It's one of those,
Yep.
It's Bruce Lee kind of, I've been training since I was a sperm. I know how to do martial arts. Because that's where adepts come in. Adepts are weird because you think it would be cool because it's exactly the middle of the road. You don't have to, if you're a shaman, like, okay, being an owl shaman, you get a +2 to every spell you cast at night. And you get a -2 to every spell you cast during the day. Dog is 2 for loyalty and -2 for, every animal totem has a plus and a minus. And there's wilderness totems, the rural totems, and then there's the city totems. So you could be a rat and you don't get any plus or minus for being in the wilderness or in the city. You're a neutral totem. You belong in both. But you get, I think theirs is detection or deception, and then they get a -2 for attack. One of the very first Magic characters I played when I was very new to the game and we were just playing it, there was already a combat mage in the group. And it was this one guy, there was their friend, oh God, Dana. She was absolutely hilarious. And the problem was that she showed up for the first couple times, and then her and the guy she was dating split up, and she never came back. The problem is that, well, I wanted to be a combat shaman, and somebody's already being I know. Ray, what's a cleric in this game? He's like, well, they don't really have clerics per se, but you could be a snake shaman. They get a +2 to all healing spells and all, like poison and toxins and all that, but they get a -2 to all combat. Yeah, you can see exactly where this is going.
Protect the squishy.
I was not liked that game. You suck! I'm not designed to throw a mana ball! I'm designed to heal you after you run away from a shower of bullets.
My job is to save your stupid ass. Your job is to keep me alive so I can save your stupid ass.
Yeah. And it's funny how universal role-playing games are. Because if you're playing a Jedi in Star Wars, the rest of the party doesn't give a shit what you're doing. Because you get 5 more moves than they do. You're faster. You're already there. It's already got... Meanwhile, in Shadowrun, when the mages and the shaman are low level, keep them alive till the end of the level. When they become godlike and they all initiate and they become like Jedi and we'll be here at the truck when you guys need us. Let us know. Yeah. Let us know when the first wave of critters we can't see is dead so we can enter the building. Okay, we'll do that. Then like 4 of them go in there and just eradicate everything. Because that's what we learned like later on where it's awesome to be a street Sam in Shadowrun. Whether you're a human, a dwarf, an elf, an orc, a troll, it doesn't matter. You're designed like Dinah, like Diz and Johnny Mnemonic. She's basically... Johnny Mnemonic, the William Gibson necromancer story, was They cut a lot out because Paul was screaming about that movie for years because he read the whole series. I've never read it. He gave me the first book. I have no idea what happened to it. I think I gave it back to him. But Shadowrun is hugely in Cyberpunk and Shadowrun are hugely influenced in the Technomancer, the William Gibson series. Check it out. One day I'll read it. It's on the list. Segue, side adventure. I had this box of books because Amanda and they left the books behind. Do you sure? You want to? No. Just get rid of them. Just give them to Goodwill or no, half price books. So it gives me an excuse to go in there and wander around.
I'd like to trade these in for these 5 books.
No, I need cash right now because. But yeah. That's what I was telling Ed too when I went to get the base for the umbrella. So. I went, put the books up there, and you know how you acquire things, and you're not quite sure how you got them. You literally cannot remember the story why this object is in your house. Now, I'm fantastically sentimental, and I have a great number of books that are gifts. They're cherished items, and I'm either going to be buried with that. I'll probably pass them on to my kids. That's what I do with all of my shit. So I had these books that have no inscription, that come with no bookmarks or no, hey, I thought you would love this, because that's normally what you get on. That's what the inside page is for. That's for a personal notation to, and I could show you the one from my aunt who gave me My Friend Flicka when I was like 8. I still have it's a book about a boy and a horse. It's like where the red fern grows, Black Beauty, Black Stallion, Old Yeller. It's one of those terrible books, Cujo. It's one of those terrible books about a family pet that has to be destroyed. What's his name in Tom Ridley? Isn't that the dog in To Kill a Mockingbird that gets rabies and they have to shoot him in the middle of the street? And at first the kids are flipped out and the adults are like, that's rabies, it's fine. I was like, oh, apparently this is just a normal occurrence down south. Okay. I don't know. I don't live there.
What we normally do. We kill the dogs. Okay.
Dude, if there's rabies in Arizona, everyone flips the fuck out. It's not a normal thing. Rabies! If a bear gets a hold of that shit, we're in a lot of trouble. You've seen the video. Ah! Yeah, you don't want 600 pounds of pissed off rabies at you, trying to chew you through your car. So I go over there and I get, wasn't a lot. But then, all right, I'm at the half price bookstore. I have got to go down the RPG section, of course. So I'm looking there and prove to myself how far behind I am with current things every time I walk down that aisle, because I don't know what I'm looking at. That says Dungeons and Dragons on it. I know that. It's the equivalent of listening to a Spanish conversation, being an American, and listening to them go back and forth for 5 minutes. They look at you and you go, Rojo means red.
I have a nice pencil box.
Banya means bathroom. Yeah. So I notice on the far end of a lower, waist level, there is an unmistakable cover. And I immediately grab it because it's in the other room on the shelf. And my kids, I think Hannah's got a copy. One of them has a copy of it. And I think I had 2 copies. Second edition, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Oriental Adventures, which was really cool, but kind of hard to. Anyway, so hey, I got this book, and I pull it out. Now all these other books that I'm looking at are, 19, 17. Some are a lot less. It just depends on how new it is and how high in demand it is. I mean, they got 8 of them. It's not priced very high, but if they got 2, it's a little more. This book is priced at $38. And mine's in way better condition. This sucks. The books I'm selling are worthless, and the ones I'm never going to get rid of are actually worth some money.
I could pay my mortgage off with this section of my book collection, but I can't sell them.
I know. I'm looking at my comic book collection going, times are tough. And I have a lot. Going through my entire collection, I realized that I don't have as many as I used to, but I had to liquidate a lot for the same reason. I got kids and I can't be having this. What the hell just happened? Oh no. Okay, hold on. My box fan just died from my computer. That's not good. The room can be hot, but the computer can't be hot. If that happens, the show is over. Well, first it'll start screaming at me. What is wrong with you? It's highly hairy. Okay. Hopefully not the problem. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on. It's just... Oh, maintenance. Box is already getting warm. Hold, please.
Yeah, that's one of the channel the old man moments. We're going to clean it out. I've got the electrical cleaner and the WD-40, and now it works.
Pretty much. But in the meantime, first let's cool it down. With the room fan, well, that sucks. It's going to get a lot hotter in here. Let's see if I can get this. I got one of those Arctic Air, and these things are like 6 or 7 years old. And I got 2 behind me, and they still work pretty good. But this third one on the desk randomly likes to turn itself off whenever it fucking wants to.
That's why at least once a season, all the fans go out into the shop. I take them apart, clean them up, and I learned the hard way. Clean them up, put them back together again, put them back in the house so that they can be used again for the next season.
I hate saying I can adapt to every schedule, because obviously I can't after working at the Tapatio Cliffs this past. But I have a feeling a lot of that was probably stress from the job.
Yeah.
Since towards the middle it got weird, and then at the end it got bad, and then, well, now I'm unemployed. Really? You're writing me up for not writing up a report fast enough? I have 8 hours to fill. Okay, you're the boss, whatever.
Yep, all right. Thank you.
Overjoyed when Fabian started working there. Oh, he gave me an amazing microphone that we're going to use next month. It's in a box, like it's in the other room. It's like this big. I miss working with him every day. He was great to work with. But yeah,
set that up in the middle of the table so it can catch everything. And then you brought the cameras back, and I figure worst case scenario, I might be able to set up 2 of the cameras and use them for video feeds.
Yeah. I've still got mosquitoes in here. I've been killing them all day. Oh no, standing water. Big surprise. It's been raining for a week.
And in Arizona, you only have standing water depending upon the time of year.
Yeah.
For about after the rain stops, you have it for up to an hour because it may take that long to either run off or absorb into the ground or evaporate. Yeah. So mosquitoes have to live very short, expedited lifespans. I'm born. I'm living. I'm dead.
I'm going to eat everybody. They're so aggressive. And out here. Well, they're aggressive everywhere. They're parasites. That's a redundant statement. Mosquitoes are... Oh, sorry.
See, that's why... That was the nice thing about being up at the ranch. The ranch was up on the first step of the plateau. So after you climb up out of Black Canyon City, you get up to Sunset Point, you're up at the first step of the plateau, you're 3,500 feet. And we had bats all over the place. So at night, you didn't have a lot of flying bugs or anything else because the bats gorged themselves and took care of all of those little issues.
Oh, yeah. Toads, frogs, bats, dragonflies, they'll be a huge help in eliminating your mosquito infestation. I'm not going to say population because it's an infestation.
And the creeks,
Bloodsuckers.
the creek up
Oh.
there, the Sycamore, ran all year
Yeah.
round. I mean, we didn't have big standing pools, so the creek was always running, which was nice. So you would get sometimes you would get some areas where it would slow down and you have a little swirling pool.
Yeah.
But that was where you would see the tadpoles and the frogs would all of a sudden, because the frogs knew, said, "Oh, you've got bugs here. I'm going to drop my children here for a little while."
Always watch this. Thanks, El Giggity. Okay, podcast. My Kata was trying. I've never played Dungeons and Dragons, but I've always been interested. Start kind of magic. They're more druids. Druids and clerics are more like shaman and Shadowrun, where you basically have to pick a god or a totem in Shadowrun, and all of your magic power comes from that god, and they put you on crazy quests, and you have a hierarchy, and you have to deal with their temple everywhere you go. But with D&D and oh, he's not watching us anymore. I'm sorry, I missed. Sorry. I've got to get better at this stuff.
At reading the questions.
53 years old, and I'm still not good at doing everything all at once. God, I'm so retarded. No, that's
everything all the time at once. There we go. Whee! Well, they'll come back. So when you return to watch this, as after the recording, we can give you the best. I would say the best primer. If somebody wants to learn about magics in general, and you're not looking for details, and you're not looking to get lost in the storyline, look at. I would say Harry Potter has got the best descriptors when you look at how the magicians, how the wizards and the witches learn their aspects. They have to have some kind of a natural adept. They have to have some kind of a natural attribute that gives them the magical capacity. That's the baseline for all magics in Dungeons and Dragons and many of the role-playing games. You have to have a baseline ability. And then you learn as you go along. And then, as you had spoken about, you've got the shamanistic or the druidic, cleric, the shamans. Those bring in a whole new affinity that develops as you age. There is learning that comes with it, but you have an affinity that develops as you grow, as you learn more, as you work with your deities and whatnot.
Yeah.
You become more powerful. You do that. Whereas the other magics that exist can be learned. And the whole point is that you have to mature, you have to study, you have to learn to be able to do these things so that you can carry forward and improve your skill sets. The thing I liked about the later editions, 5e, which is the most current one that we've all played, 4e, 5e, the ability for some of these cross-pollinations. So you can have multiple classes after you get to a certain level, and you can have multiple races. You can have many cross races that didn't exist previous to. And I like the idea of that because it expands the capacity. But you then have to be willing to play in that realm. So for those of us that started with first edition, second edition, you didn't have dragonborn anything. You had dragons. You barely had half. You had half something.
You had a half elf. That was it.
You had a half elf. You had a halfling. So, but the halfling was just a short human.
Yeah.
You had dwarves. You had orcs, and then they came in with the half orc. You could have the half orc, and those were interesting. But you could build onto that later on, which made it. I mean, that's the only way that you can have things like Waterdeep and all of these other realms that exist, because you have to add the nuance. You have to add the ability to do other things, where that runs you into a problem.
I got her. She's dead. See that? Dead. Now more sucking my blood. Oh my God! I'm sorry.
Where you run into problems with those more, with the greater expanse. is it becomes very difficult for those who are seeking to know it all.
Yeah.
The nerds get lost,
The nerds.
and they have a very hard time. The geeks
Nerds.
enjoy it,
Yeah.
but they tend to understand that I can't know everything there is to know about every cross
No.
race, every cross characteristic that can exist. So I have the book, or I
Yeah.
will learn.
Here's an interesting thing. Oh, it's getting warm. Oh, ice pack. So there's a guy on YouTube named Mr. Rex. And if you haven't seen his videos, please check them out. And he goes 10 steps deep into Dungeons and Dragons lore. And not just Dungeons and Dragons. He does a lot of other games and video games too. But he takes the time to look up the module, read all about the monster, cross-reference it in Dragon Magazine, and then... So I'm watching this and I'm learning stuff I never knew about monsters that I wasted in games. I should have...
Yeah.
This guy... Back then, we didn't have the internet, and we weren't talking to one another like that. And it was... But he was saying elf DNA and human DNA are the two most dominant of all of the characters that you can play in Dungeons and Dragons. And after I'll save you, it's like a half an hour video. Cut down to... If you have two parents, and one is a human, and one is a dwarf, and you're on Toril, that offspring is going to either resemble more of a dwarf or more of a human in a way where they're indiscernible from the... He just looks like a bulky human. He's just a slightly slimmer dwarf. It's so... such a minute difference that individual blends in, and that individual never knows unless they're told that they're half human.
The nuance is there.
Yes. Same thing with halflings and gnomes, and it only shows up with elf human parent, orc human parent. And it isn't until the Dark Sun campaign where you have a serious... They're called mules, and they're huge humans. They're half dwarf, half human, sterile offspring that are bred for the pit fights. In the beginning of the first Conan movie, when he's in there tearing everybody apart, that's pit fighting. There's a lot of money in it. All of your medieval, all of your D&D cultures are hugely into that crap. Two guys killing each other? Oh, I'll bet on that. I got some gold. So that's a lot of why you don't... There isn't... Because Tabaxi and Dragonborn and the being the praying mantis people, the Thykreen, which they eat elves. Oh, that's fun, having one of those in a party with a bunch of elves.
Because you have all of that. The one that wasn't really... The one that I had seen only a few times, I think it was more because the dungeon master, the game master, wanted to try it out, was the half giant. So when you had the half giants, or when you had...
But you don't get the rules to those till the Eberron system appears, which is a whole nother planet. It's not on Toril. It's not Greyhawk. It's not Dark Sun. It's not... That's in Spelljammer's realm. And that is... I'm curious about that, but then now you've got half giants in a steampunk world.
Yeah,
the gnomes and
it's funny because if you look at all of this, a lot of this lore, a lot of what we're talking about, a lot of these characters have been spun up in all of the fantasy films since the 1970s. But it's funny because a lot of them have been reintroduced in the in the early 2000s, 2010s, and so on, by of all people, J.K. Rowling came up and brought them out to a whole new group who weren't necessarily Dungeons and Dragons folk. They might have known some of these things through playing Final Fantasy online or some of those things. But even there, they didn't go into some of the same detail, and they didn't.
Yeah.
For all of the other things that went on within the Harry Potter realm and the stories and the differences between the films and the books and whatnot. I haven't read the books, but a lot of these characters were given deeper characteristics, deeper meaning through her writing and some of the other newer fantasy realm writers. They've given them more story. They've given them more backstory. They've given them more personality. They've given them more presence. Rather than, we talked about it with Zachary's half orc.
Yeah.
What does Zachary's half orc do? Hulk smash. Well, now you've got these other films where they're bringing out more character traits in these races and these half races, these agglomerated races, that makes them more interesting. And that's how you get these younger audiences interested in those same ideas, because now they can pick up on it. I mean, to your point, we didn't have a lot of the internet. We didn't have a lot of those other things going on. So we didn't have the depth. We didn't have the opportunity to go into the depth of a lot of these things. Yeah. Star Wars came out, and there was a limited amount of canon fiction books. The comic books were what picked up a lot of the canon when we were going through the first 3 films. And then the books came out, and then you got more things. And then the video games came out. So that was the initiation of this type of thing. And I think we're going to see more as we go along.
I think so, too. Here's what's different. El Giggity was just saying that he was, hey, man, we got to get you into one of the games, because the noobs are the best. The people that have never played before are the most fun, because they get the biggest charge out of it. Now,
the first time you cast Fireball and blow up an orc is the most exciting thing you've ever done as a newbie wizard.
Yeah. It's different now, where you can do what we did, where you set up a camera or a laptop and you record it, and everybody, we'll have to work out that sound and the camera angles and everything, but we're not producers. It's okay. So, let's say you're 10 and you're at Hobby Bench and you're by the D&D section, and all of a sudden there's like a 19-year-old kid. Oh, hey, how's it going? Okay, yeah. And he's buying D&D stuff too. And you're like, wow, that's cool, okay. And he's watching you, but he's doing his own thing, and he's talking to the person and everything, and la, 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 la. And all of a sudden he's like, hey, kid, are you going to buy that one? That one's pretty good. You're like, you have it? Oh, yeah, I've taken my couple different teams through there, couple different players. You have more than one team? Because that's a foreign concept when you're that little, and D&D was brand new back in, 5th grade, so it's 1981. So, well, the game this is what I did when they got to that room when I was running the campaign. You can change the rooms? Why don't you just, and then that's the concept of, pretty soon everybody's stealing, plots from movies and shows and books, and hey, they didn't see the show, they don't know, they haven't seen this episode of Twilight Zone in the reruns in the middle of the night. And
my favorites from that time frame were, it was really nice that TSR came out with the Fiend Folios.
Yes.
Those were great. Those were from the Fiend Folios. That was great. From the company that made the game. But then they were allowing others to build it. So Traps and Traps 2 and other monsters and all these other books. Those were some of my favorite just to get share them with my DM and say, these would be cool. This would be neat. This would be fun.
Yeah. It's interesting which... Oh, I want to go off on a D&D tirade right now that also parallels into... With Christianity, you have a whole lot of demons. And then who are the enemies of the North Pantheon? Trolls and giants. And who are the enemy of the Indian pantheon, well, they really kind of fight themselves. These are gods that go through several iterations and back and forth, reincarnation in different lifetimes, and they're learning, and they go, okay, but there are dark forces. Oh, well, yes, it's the dark forces of the humanity, and then there's the things in the void and all that. Okay. And then you have, if you want to get into, like, all of it, you've got Oni in Japan, which are, like, spiritual monsters and stuff like that. But with the Greeks, I've been thinking about this a lot. You have the Titans, but that's a one-sided story because they're still humans and there's still day-to-day life. But this is all told from Zeus's point of view, where his father's a monster and Kronos is eating the babies. But you come to find out later, well, he didn't eat all the children. He just ate most of the children, and most of the children were male. Hades and Poseidon and Zeus, and there's like two others in there as well. And then the Titans. But the Titans have their own, Prometheus and Atlas and stuff. They all have other jobs before what we know them as. Your job is to hold the earth. Your job is to be chained to a rock and have vultures eat your liver every day, all day long. So it's very like they have a hell, so they understand the concept of good and bad because Hades and Tartarus exist pre-Zeus. Now, this is just me meandering and listening to Paul's dad and watching YouTube and reading a bunch of other stuff. And I was a voracious reader when I was young. And then the Greek pantheon is in Dungeons and Dragons. That's where your first introduction to the Greek pantheon, Hera and Aphrodite and Hephaestus and all the other guys, Ares. So they have the 100-handers. You've got what are the other ones? The Titans, and then there's like two other groups that are like bad. They're just bad. They're here to destroy humanity and they fuck up the earth. But they kind of keep them in Tartarus, which is essentially hell. Now, there's the Elysium Fields, but then there's basically just Styx. And Styx is, and even the Elysium, it's not really heaven. It's just this endless fields you have to work for the gods to make ambrosia. And you're not being tortured or ignored. That's your, The
Elysian Fields were heaven in that there was no pain, there was no want, there was no, it was
peaceful,
the idea,
but you're still at work.
Yeah.
So we understood the concept of this long before. Where are the demons and devils in the Greek mythos?
The demons and devils would have been what we would consider the demons and devils would be the dark demigods,
the 100-handers,
the minotaurs and all of that, because they were the ones that were imbued with the darkness, and they were always presented with that position. So you had the sirens, so they were demigoddesses, and they were dark. Their entire position was to do harm. They really. Yeah. They didn't see it as harm, so from their perspective, this is what I do. This is my job. Fuck you, come over here.
They're more the sirens.
The Gorgons.
The Gorgons are one level above, but these are still essentially monsters. And what I kind of was driving at is, and you have like Asmodeus, Mephistopheles, Baal, all that. The closer you get to the present, the more evil has names. Where in the past, it's more like a Mimambu or whatever in Doctor Strange, where it's not. It's I'm going to give you one syllable, fear that, because I am evil incarnate, and blah, blah, blah. But even like the Bible would suggest that there really isn't an evil until the fallen angels. But that can't be because you can't have light without darkness. So let there be light. That means evil's already in charge. You just basically came in and took over like Zeus. And you find out.
But when you talk about that, it's funny because that's the point that you and I have talked about with the group when they've been on here, and we've delved into ancient religions, ancient ideas.
Mm.
I have yet to find a religion that did not have a starting point
Mm.
where there was a forever existence, something that had always been, that begat everything else. So everything came from something. And that something sometimes has a name, doesn't have a name. So, all of the pantheons speak about the gods and goddesses, the demons, whatever the pantheon is, being created from or brought into existence by a named or unnamed forever entity.
An ushering in of a new...
Right.
Yeah.
And then that entity created everything and created every religion, the balance. There had to be the balance.
The more I thought about the point of view of Greek mythology, it really comes across as John Carpenter's The Prince of Darkness, where he basically takes Christianity and turns it all upside down. Oh, no, Satan was an alien, and he got to Earth before Christ and set up a paradise, and Jesus came down and said, no, we can't have this. They have to live in sin, and they're sinners. And then they encase Satan in the canister, and he's stuck in the shadow void for all that time, and Jesus has, rule of the world. So it's kind of the same way with Zeus, where you don't really hear how life is for the humans under Kronos and Gaia. It's really not discussed. They're there. There has to be if there's gods, which are the Titans really gods? Because if Titans by Titan classification in D&D, these are monsters. Minor demigods at best because of their physical abilities, but that doesn't make them gods. That just makes them strong humanoids.
And what is the definition?
20 feet
What is
tall.
the definition of a god?
Yeah.
Are you looking at the definition of a god as being a otherworldly manifestation that has power beyond recognition, or are you looking at the Christian ideal of God? God is the end all be all. That's a whole nother story. We're not going to go near that one.
To never want to talk about politics or religion. We're talking a lot about religion right now.
Well, we're talking about ancient religions.
Ancient religion. So, I started thinking about this, and it's like, you know what? In a sense, after Zeus comes in, takes over the Titans, imprisons everybody in Tartarus, all of the bad things, all of the 100-handers and the other, there's a bunch, the Cyclopses, there's a bunch of other groups. Tartarus is strictly for the baddest of the bad. All your homicidal maniacs and serial killers and mass murderers, that they live
ex-wives.
That's where Sisyphus is. Ex-wives. Sisyphus is pushing the boulder up the burning mountain of one of the mountains in Tartarus, and he has to push it up every day, naked and barefoot, and every day it's at the bottom, and it takes him all day to get it's a pain in the ass. But the Greek gods and most of the goddesses are absolutely fucking horrible. They're horrible. They're just as bad as all of the other religions, demons and devils. You don't need to have a Mephistopheles. Why can't I say that tonight? Mephistopheles. Because you have Poseidon. The whole story of Medusa is just absolutely disgusting. She's a high priestess of Aphrodite. She's regarded as one of the most beautiful women in all of the Hellenistic world. She is sequestered so men can't get to her. Poseidon breaks into the temple and rapes her on the fucking altar. Aphrodite is so pissed, she turns her into a gorgon.
Yep.
I wonder why I'm just so mad. You don't have to wonder why. It's all in print.
Every one of these ancient religions, every one of these ancient pantheons.
Yeah.
So every one of these is the ultimate morality tale about humanity.
Yeah.
And what separates humanity from the non-human existences within the world that those people were living in and that we are living in today, because it repeats itself. It's that common tale about you have highs and lows. Every human existence has the purest of pure and the darkest of dark, and it exists, unfortunately, within the human psyche, human mind. That is where all these tales come from.
I would agree. The best in 1984, when the first Clash of the Titans movie came out with Burgess Meredith and all the rest, and
Dr. Kildare,
there was an all-star cast. I say that as a joke. Harry Hamlin. I remember seeing it at 10. It was like seeing naked women for the first time. It was the greatest movie ever. Because when Cassiopeia comes out of the bed, never mind. Anyway, Calibos, it's fucking awesome. What the best thing is about the first movie, now, hold on, it is a mess across the board. All those stories are not related. Perseus did cut Medusa's head off, but he never even got near Pegasus, let alone rode him into battle against the Kraken. None of that shit happened. But the movie is monumental and amazing because not only is Hades not portrayed as the ultimate big bad guy devil character, he's not even fucking mentioned in the whole movie. He's there, you could see him. You go, that's probably Hades when they're all hanging out together. But all of the other characters take center stage, and he's not needed because there's enough antagonists with Hera, Andromeda, and Calibos going on. You have enough of that because you've got a goddess mad at a demigod because shit's not going her way, and her demigod got punished, and all that, so it's more of the soap opera that ancient Greek Pantheon is. Yeah. And it's the same thing with Hades doesn't get a pass. Hades has a fucked up life. Hades is the oldest brother, and Zeus is basically the spoiled youngest child. Poseidon's the ignored middle kid. They're the three main brothers. There's Hephaestus, there's other brothers, but these are the middle brothers of the middle brothers that the parents ignore, and they only go to when something important is needing to be done. That's why Zeus is the all-father. No, he's actually the youngest brother. Hades is the oldest brother. But they decide, after the big war of the Titans is over, to draw lots. So these superpowered superheroes decide that they want to have super special powers over the powers that they already have, and they get these from the Titans because these jobs were already taken by Titans that were hanging out and, delivering all the stuff. So they draw lots, and it's Zeus that gets the sky and the heavens. Poseidon gets the sea and the land, I think, because he's also the god of earthquakes. And it's Hades that gets the Underdark, the underworld, the land of the dead. And at first, Hades is furious. He's pissed. But over time, he realizes, wait a minute, I get everybody. They may have them for a while. They get mad at, I get you when it's over. Forever I get you. So he becomes but he's still lonely. He's still sitting down in the basement on a throne all by himself. And
Zeus is in many ways the worst of the gods.
Oh, he's terrible.
Only because he is the cheat.
Yeah.
He's the cheat that wins.
Yeah.
So he's cheated all of his brothers. He's cheated all of the goddesses. At some point in time, he has cheated all of them and come out on top and has consolidated his power to become thought of as the father of the gods, the leader of all the gods and goddesses. So he has consolidated and become the most powerful of the Pantheon and rules over everyone.
Yeah.
And that's a recurrent theme in all of those religions as well. I mean, you see it in the Indian religion, you see it. That even happens in many of the Asian religions, where you always end up having you have your pantheon, but there's always one that somehow consolidates all the power that they possibly can
Becomes the All-Father.
through hook or by crook,
Yeah.
and they make it happen.
It's interesting with the Egyptian pantheon, because Anubis is regarded in the same context as Hades. This isn't really a bad guy. He has a shit job. And Zeus, to add it one step further, he's also fathering so many children in Greece, which, that's a double-edged sword, isn't it?
He's creating demigods left and right.
But if you're a teenage girl in Athens, and all of a sudden you get pregnant by whatever circumstance.
How did it happen? Well, this goose came into the house, and the next thing I know, I'm pregnant. What?
A bull, a glittering shower of gold enveloped me and told me everything was going to be okay.
Yeah, don't move.
But
and then the next thing you know,
Zeus is literally the tale of all young women to avoid the rock star, because he's just going to get you pregnant and forget about you. I mean, that's literally the lesson of Zeus. Don't fall for it. It's going to get you pregnant. Leave, and you'll never hear from him again. And that's even.
And you'll be you'll be stuck raising the progeny that may or may not become the next great whatever.
Well, he told me he was Zeus. Yeah, I'm sure he did.
So what we're saying, ladies, is don't date the fucking drummer.
Hey, but yeah. Poseidon has to be the worst, because he probably has an equal number as Zeus, but he's way more evil and sneaky about it, because he's the only child. He's the middle child. Nobody pays attention to us. They ignore us. That's why most of us are insane. We're constantly being compared to the oldest child and how we're not following directions, and we're not special enough to be the youngest child. Okay. When's your birthday? That was last week. We forgot your birthday? Again, yes, it's okay. I'm used to it.
I'll be in the backyard lighting the grass on fire.
And you wonder why I don't turn in homework and I'm always in trouble. It's because you tell me how much I suck every day.
Because I want somebody to pay fucking attention to me.
We're talking about Zeus. We don't need to. No, it's not. It wasn't like it. It was sometimes. Anyway, but I started thinking about it. Like, yeah, they don't need demons and devils. They're more like the Indian pantheon, where half the time they're awesome, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, Dad's drunk again. Which we've all been there. So, and
that's where the demigods come in the Greek and the Roman pantheon. Because the Romans blatantly stole from the Greeks.
The Romans are the worst. We have Saturnalia and all these other gods. Well, they suck. What? Our gods are much better. We've had them longer. But what about... We need to get some fucking...
Well, we'll just take yours.
Yeah, and we'll just rename them.
Change their names.
Just rename them. And that even... The best is I kept posting that song in 1972. The Italian guy wrote an an American song, and none of the words barely make any sense. It's all like, that kind of a dude is that walking around, and it's all like that. And if you didn't speak any English, it would sound like English. But if you speak English, you're like,
what did you say?
Is this scat? Is this whole song just? I mean, that's cool. Like Scatman Crothers and John the Scatman. I'm a scat man. I love this song. The Micro Machines guy. They slice his dice. Hey, fast talk is an art. You have to be able to think and make sense and keep your breathing going all at the same time.
That's right. And if you can't get a recording contract, you can always fall back on auctioneering.
Yeah. So in closing, if you're role-playing and you're the game master and you're doing an ancient Greek campaign, you've got demons and devils now. Zeus is like just hanging out. He's not just this loose hormone in the Mediterranean is raping everybody. Which, wait a minute. Hold on. Like in the movie American Gods, if you're a god to one people, and you walk somewhere else in the world, shouldn't a minimal amount of your power follow you?
Based on that storyline,
How many
it does.
children has Zeus fathered all over the planet? Here's worse. How many ocean liners or other ocean-going vessels did Poseidon sink for like a minute and a half, blow his load, resurface the ship, and, oh no, I am not pregnant. Oh no, Shang-Chi, how are you pregnant now? I mean, how often did that happen? The world isn't that big, folks, and if they're gods, Shadowfax, show us the meaning of haste.
That's right.
What? So I don't...
You brought it full circle, because if somebody wants to learn, and I'll tell you what, for me, this was one of the hardest things, and I still haven't been able to read through it, is the Silmarillion, because Tolkien did an extraordinary job. If you can get somebody to, on YouTube, there are a lot of them. There have been a lot of...
those I've watched.
There's been a lot of programs that have been written or put together to explain the Silmarillion.
Yeah.
And to go through it and to talk about it. But that is probably one of the best portrayals, as far as I'm concerned, of the norms that exist in just about every religion that you can name. You can go through,
wait.
change the names and tell the same tale.
You've opened a can of worms. You said the biggest mistake they made, from my opinion. Now, hold on. I've got it in the DVD player now. Return of the King, DVD 1 extended. I love the movies. My ex-wife and children bought them for me. I watch them religiously. I watch Lord of the Rings a couple times a year because for me now, Futurama used to be on Netflix, and I used to use that as background music. I just have it going all day, clean the house, watch the kids until they were doing something, and then I would have it going in here because it was like having the stereo on. So I do that with a lot of shows and movies. But the biggest mistake they made, which chronologically they should have put The Hobbit out first, but they didn't, and that's fine. And then they made the mistake of making one book into 3 movies, and it's still... I'm afraid to watch it because I'm going to be furious because that's a beloved book. I read it, when I was a teenager, and he got his wife into Lord of the Rings. It's amazing, but they really kind of missed a movie angle where they could have done it like The Princess Bride, and that's how they really should have had it, where they should have had like Michael Caine or another cuddly English actor with like a 5-year-old and a 6-year-old. No, Gran, read us this book. Oh, and he should read the Silmarillion, and then she doesn't get eaten by the eels at this. Because from what I've watched from the shows and explained, like Gabe, who's one of our viewers, and hopefully we'll get him on the show, amazing artist, also gamer. He made it sound like it's more like reading Greek or Norse history, where it's a collection of stories that aren't connected by time. They're just stories. And this
it's building the Pantheon. Yeah, the Silmarillion is building the Pantheon. So it takes you from, here is the first god. This is the god. And it's not given that name, is given as the creator of all things. The first who sung everything into existence and created,
or it's something like that.
And so as it goes through, it explains to you where each level of this pantheon comes into play and how the elves ultimately come from all of that.
Yeah. How
the dwarves are created, how the humans are created, the mistakes that occurred, and all of those things. But you're right. I mean, it's like reading. It's truly like trying to read a Greek philosopher's explanation of the entire Greek pantheon from the beginning.
I would go.
So
yes,
you can get lost quickly.
Oh yeah,
yeah. You can get
it's more
hammered fast.
For us, it's actually. Tell me about the Greeks. Well, it's more like Buster Scruggs. Okay, all of these things happen in this area at this time period. Here's this story. Here's this story. Here's the singing cowboy. Here's the, here the bank robber guy. So all of that is happening simultaneously in the same area, but it's nuanced together, but not really related. It's simultaneously on the same level, but not actually created that way. Oh, the question was, have you seen the Rings of Power show? I have not. And I can't.
I have.
You have.
I enjoyed it. And I go in. We've talked about that before. I enjoy those, and I watch those films, those programs. So the Star Treks, the other Star Wars Pantheons, anything that's going on in these storylines.
Oh, you meant the
that
new
may
ones.
not be with original canon. I go into those, watching them to see how well they stand on their own, and not necessarily looking to tie them to everything else. I look for the connections because I want to see and hear the connection and I want to hear that there's a continuity. But I also give the opportunity to try and enjoy, like the Rings of Power. I wanted to enjoy that on the basis of its own existence. How well was it done? Does it go through? Does it tell a good tale? Does it give some explanation and carry forward? And I thought it did a very good job in that respect. It's when you get the people that cling so hard to a very narrow, description of whatever the universe is going to be working, based on one subsection of it. So that's where kind of the Star Trek and the Star Wars things, I end up having some difficulties when I hear some folks really tear off onto something, and I think, well, this is the original storyline. These are the tales. But now we're embellishing, we're adding to it, we're giving more opportunity. So I think it falls in line with a lot of when you look at Star Wars and Star Trek, there was a time when there was a substantial amount of literature written. There are many books, comic books, things like that were written by those outside of the original owning line. So for Star Wars, it wasn't something that Spielberg was there and you can only tell this tale and you can only tell it this way. It was, I'm going to give you a universe. You go ahead and write this. So many of these things that came about that have become canon now were not necessarily things that he came up with. The same thing with, Star Trek was Roddenberry's baby. He built it. But it was another thing where he got the where people got the opportunity to go in
and do their own,
add to. Right, you get to add to the universe. You're making it larger. I equate it to going back to Dungeons and Dragons, first edition D&D. You had 8 races and 10 classes, and this is all you had.
This wasn't a lot of excitement or deviation, no.
Right. Second edition, it expanded. Third edition, expanded even more. Then the books started being written. So now you had people who had the opportunity to expand it even further.
Yeah.
And so that carries on. Now we've got this expansive universe.
You could be anything you want. You could be half potato if you want to. Oh, God.
It's right. Look, you're a talking baked potato. Have a good time.
Yeah, because even teaching, I've been no. You're exactly right. I've been spoon feeding Willow. Okay, I like that part too. I like how it portrays certain things. Curious how it holds up to the books. Everybody who's tried to read the books is either given up on them or I tried to. The Hobbit.
The Rings of Power is not necessarily the Silmarillion.
It's based on it.
There's bits and pieces that come through it, but Tolkien, to my memory, and correct me if I'm wrong, anybody out there listening, but to my memory, he didn't go into the same detail that we pulled from the Rings of Power, and that was because he didn't intend to at that point in time. He had intended to write at least one more book that was going to be the tales of the existence after the Lord of the Rings. So that never came about. And his family decided to publish much of that there, but also allowed there to be additional works that could be written along those same lines, carrying that same pantheon, carrying that same character development, but allowing for others to build out this world that we were looking into, that we had all become part of.
Yes.
So those that are open to the idea of more being there, I equate to what we've always talked about, the geeks. The geeks come in and they say, I want to know more.
Yeah.
And if I don't agree with what you're telling me, that's fine, but you're teaching me something.
Where
I know
nerds are like,
something
I
new.
already know everything. Oh, okay,
Right.
whatever.
So that's
Sure
where the
you do,
difference
big
comes
guy.
in. So yeah, as you watch these things, as you listen to these tales, as you see the films and the television adaptations, you read the books and the comic books and the graphic novels and whatnot that comes with it, you get so much more out of it. I mean, here's a great one. If you are a Lord of the Rings fan, if you're a Tolkien fan, watch the animated motion pictures that were done, the animated films, The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
and then watch The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings films. And then I would tell you to find a copy of the original BBC radio plays for The Lord of the Rings.
I've heard a little bit of it, and people rave about it all the time.
Or The Hobbit.
Really good.
And they were wonderful. But none of those will be a direct match to each other. And none of them will be a direct match to the written book. And there were some editions of the books that were missing or had certain things added, because I believe Tolkien had added certain things to The Hobbit over time and republished. I think the same thing happened to The Lord of the Rings. Little bits, nothing. I mean, there was no big, massive, this all disappeared. But there were nuances.
I do agree with, it's a shame Rob isn't here. Giggity says, I've only seen season 1, but I want to read the Silmarillion first before continuing just to compare. It's a really hard read. It's a
difficult read.
Rob made a comment, was it the last show or the show before that, because I rewatched it, where he talks about, and it's the truth, Peter Jackson's version of The Lord of the Rings is superior in a way, because if he did it word for word, page for page, that those 3 movies would be 75 hours total, because there is so much singing and dancing and poetry and epilogues, and he cut Tom Bombadil and the Barrow Wights completely out. And it's, when you read it, it's, but after you give it a lot of thought, it's like, well, that was kind of pointless. I mean, what was the point to that?
Putting some of those things onto celluloid, and yes, I'm showing my age, gray beard, putting some of those things onto film, or digital now, would be extraordinarily difficult. Many of those things only play out in that same strength in the reader's mind. It becomes very difficult to put that forward, I think, in a manner that could in any way play to what you would have thought of. So if you've read the book, and you're talking about the Barrow Wights.
Yes.
So you're going through the Barrow Wights, and you're thinking about it, and you're thinking, holy shit, I can envision this tomb. I can envision these
dead,
ghostly figures coming, the dead moving, and all of this. And
terrifying.
You would be very hard-pressed to put that, even with AI today and digital and everything else, you would be hard-pressed to create that visually to match, let alone surpass what you can build in your mind.
I have a documentary on him. I have not seen the Tolkien movie, but I know a lot of writers, and I desperately wanted to be a writer growing up, because writers get to control the narrative. They're the ones that make the story. They're the ones that create it. They're the ones that craft it. What you learn growing up is what you have in your head and what ends up down on paper are often 2 different stories, and one doesn't make any sense. So, in a sense, again, the man died long before I ever was born, but Tolkien is a man that is a rural English gentleman, educated at Oxford, and he experiences trench warfare in World War I, and it forever changes his life. Him and C.S. Lewis and the rest of the Inklings, and they were, I think a couple of them knew each other, and then they all met after the war, because we've talked a lot about Hobbit genealogy and pantheons and magic and elves and thing. Tolkien's on 3 levels. One, you don't really have a lot of fantasy before him. You got Beowulf, you got religious stories of old world gods, Gilgamesh, that kind of thing. But you don't really have... You have Ivanhoe and Robin Hood, and I believe there's a German one, too. There's like a bandit type. But you don't...
But those were based in history.
William Tell. So it's, you've got this... They're not... Yeah. Tolkien comes and basically grabs from Snow White and Rose Red and Cinderella and all of these stories and old world, because on one, that's why I said it's 3 levels. On one, he's a trailblazer. You don't really have much to compare him to except the epics of Gilgamesh, and not even, Fafard and the Grey Mouser won't come out for years. This is before Conan. This is before all of those guys. You have you had Howard and those guys writing about the same time, but you have to remember too that what Tolkien had done was he had literally created an entire universe aside from the one in which we live. And
where these others were tales of history.
I mean, he was really into... I've got a bunch of his books that I've never read about Farmer Ham of Wotton, and they're collections of short stories that he was building up. Because that's what... Right. One of the things I think that there's an overabundance of singing and dancing and poetry and description, because he's like King after him, and then later R.R. Martin. They're wrapped into creating the world, so they're really heavy-handed on description to get you immersed and to bust up that word count. Got to be over 250,000, folks. It's got to sell. It's got to pop. People are going to want it because they're trying to market it, but they don't realize it could be 9,000 pages. If they want to read it, they're going to read it. It's going to happen. If they want it, they're going to stand in line for it. That's just the way it is. See, I've stood in line for all the Harry Potter books because that made the ex-wife happy, with guys in robes at midnight and at Borders, and
The thing about it is, Tolkien was a writer, as you said. Tolkien was a writer. He could also do poetry. But he was a writer. He could put pen to paper, and he could put his thoughts on paper.
Yeah.
The difference is
he was
not a storyteller.
No, but he was also a linguist. He was fascinated with the spoken word.
But he was not a storyteller. So he had to write about all of the dancing and the singing and everything. Because, like you said, we want to immerse you. I want to show you that this is the elven culture.
Yeah.
And now you have a better understanding of who the elves are, why they are. This is the dwarven culture.
Here's all their songs. This is what their armor looks like. This is where they live. This is the jokes.
But he had to do that in a written format. And this is why I've always pushed on you, because you are the storyteller. You can't put it on paper necessarily.
No,
but you can tell the tale. And the difference is that Tolkien could sit and write the tale out, but he couldn't speak it to you in the same way. He could speak it to you. Let me tell you the story about Bilbo Baggins, and I could give you this. But when he writes it, he's writing it, and you're putting the inflections and doing all of that. A storyteller such as yourself, you can be the one that says, you're the one that can put to it all the inflections. The Hobbit lived in a hole. It's not a dirty dusty, dank little hole, but a beautiful, well-made hole. And you can do that when you're telling your tales, because you can then create that same immersion
Mm.
using your verbal skills, your voice skills, your ability to weave that world verbally to people.
Mm.
And that's a big difference as well. So you have that same skill set.
Mm.
You have a hard time putting those same inflections, those same commentaries onto paper. But then again, when people sit and listen to your tales and you're telling this, you're weaving the story an hour in front of the fire, out at fair or
Yeah.
sitting in the
Days.
backyard, and people are sitting on the edge of their seats and they want to hear more. And tell me more. What? Wow! And you're not only just saying, "Well, the Hobbit, he's a little guy about this tall." You're saying, "Oh,
Oh,
he only
Bilbo.
stands about 2.5 feet tall, but he's rather a plump little fellow, and he's wearing this beautiful green
he
coat with
eats
these wonderful brown slacks."
he eats
And
9 meals a day. 9 meals. Yeah. Because
and that's where the difference comes in.
thank
But
you.
that's the biggest
I
part of being
appreciate
able
that.
to do that.
But he also
That
was.
is a tale.
There's a huge gap in England's history. Same thing with Ireland. There's a bunch that they just don't. It's just gone. It was an oral tradition that disappeared, which is the problem with oral traditions. Like you said, write them down. So he was also trying to add a, hey guys, here's our history kind of.
Yeah. Let me touch on a couple of things.
Because
The
the
other
best.
thing that he stated,
Yeah.
oh, I was just saying, the other thing that he had stated was that this was, in many ways, his way of coming to grips with two world wars that had impacted him very strongly. The First World
Oh
War,
yeah. That he was
and the
actually
impact
in.
upon his son, the Second World War,
Yeah.
and all of the things that came about, and trying to pull these things together and reconcile them. And it had been stated and alluded to many times that this was his reconciliation with basically the Church of England
Oh
and the
yeah.
professions that came about there. Here's the way it's supposed to be.
And that's
Here's right and wrong, and here's my
I
ability to pull it together.
I would go one step further to say that that's another interesting dynamic between C.S. Lewis and Tolkien is they remained friends even though they were kind of really diametrically opposed on the Church of England and Christianity. Because C.S. Lewis wasn't a lie down and swallow everything and okay, I'll believe, but he also wasn't a borderline heretic like Tolkien was. But there's a lot more allegory in C.S. I mean, Aslan
Yeah.
and all. It's so biblically. I've never read the Narnia series, but like Christine and a whole bunch of other people that have read it, they're like, yeah, it starts out great, and then it's not. Just read the Lord of the Rings. But with the Lord of the Rings, so he wanted to really get into his linguistics and his writing ability, and he was a little bit of a bureaucrat. That's the first thing. The second thing was trying to give England a missing history and it was really fantastic because the Silmarillion, that's how you say it. I've never been able to.
That's the way I was told.
Sally Millie. That's an old Sally Millie book. I don't know. But there's stones that one of the gods creates, if I remember correctly.
That the great that are created by the Iluvatar.
Iluvatar,
So the
which
Silmarillions.
the
Well,
main guy.
Iluvatar was the
Zeus,
main,
Odin,
but
God,
there's
Yahweh,
the
all
race
that.
of Iluvatar. So there's a race of these gods, and one of the greats creates these Silmarillions. They are the greatest, most perfect, and then you have the whole tale of the battle for everybody wants them, everybody's got to have one, and then it goes on from there, and that's part of what drives so much of the story later on is where these ended up and their magics and how the magics translated in other.
Yeah. What's really interesting in Tolkien is kind of more of the creator than this of this than the Bible, I would say, is okay. Excuse me. We're gonna go way deep D&D. Stay with us to the outer planes. Now, think of existence as an onion, and the very center of the onion is all that you see around you. It's the prime material plane. It's us. Everything that Giggity, this is going to be important way later if you ever play a cleric or a druid or you're into the god thing or you were asking about it. So magic comes from the astral plane. It's a exchange. They memorize the whole spell. They use a spell slot on the character sheet. But in the game, they memorize the spell, like he had mentioned Magic Missile earlier. Oh no, you're fighting kobolds. You're second level. You have Magic Missile memorized twice. So you use it the first time. So in your mind, the 3/4 of the spell that you memorized and the last quarter that you memorized verbatim, that first part of those 3/4 disappears the moment that you cast it, because you have to re-memorize the spell every 24-hour period. Unless, well, if you don't use it, you don't have to remember it. It's just there. But they didn't want mages to just be able to cast spells forever. So they gave you in the very beginning in the iterations of the game, and then they changed it later, but we're just going to deal with the very beginning now for basics. They gave you spell slots. So you have all of the first level spells in your spell book, but today, because you're second level, was it 2 or 3? You only got like 2 or 3 first levels.
Yeah,
like
you only get a few at a time, and you have to memorize
them
before you
and then,
use.
So you're going to pick like sleep, magic missile twice, maybe light, and then you're going to be using those because the fighters and the other guys are going to be doing the majority of the work. The wizard and the thief just kind of hang out in the lower levels in the back of the party until something major happens. Or you're, hey, is this magical? Hey, is this trapped? Where's the secret doors? Then you're like, detect magic, detect stuff. But once you cast a spell, it leaves your character's mind, and the next time you have a sleep session or what's called a long rest, which is an 8-hour period or longer, that gives
usually.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, yeah, usually it's about 8 hours, and you have to take that time to reacquaint yourself.
So your character as a mage has to, like, cram for the midterm these spells. You already know him, so it's familiar, but you have to, like, get it ready in your mind, which is why we were talking about Shadowrun earlier, where it's forever in your mind, and you can cast it until you pass out. Whereas in D&D, you cast it, okay, now I have to re-memorize it. Can we take a break now, and then I'll...
Yeah. That was the way for Dungeons and Dragons to
kind of nerf the...
Basically,
yeah.
Well, it was the way to bring in the idea of equal exchange, equivalent exchange. So as a magic user in most Pantheons, you have to give something to be able to use this power, and then you have to recover from it.
Yeah.
And so later on, it became the spells got more involved in different magic groups where you had to have certain materials with you. If you're going to cast this particular spell, you have to have the Eye of the Newt, and you have to have this, and you have to have that. You have to do these things.
Eye of Newt,
so,
squirt of lemon, toe of camel. Ooh, wait, no, not that one.
And you have to go through each of these steps as you were doing that. And again, that was, as Bill had mentioned, that was a way to kind of keep things on an even keel, because if you think about it, a fighter, a barbarian, is going to go out with a sword or a bludgeoning weapon, and they can swing that bludgeoning weapon, but they're going to get tired. So in reality, you can only do so much before you get worn out.
Yeah.
And so a magic user can't be somebody who can just sit in the back and go, fireball, 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 fireball.
No, hold on.
Yeah.
There are major, like Gandalf, Elminster, Macross the Black, Raceland, Fistendantilus. These are mages in books that are just, they're godlike. They're just an unstoppable force.
They still have to give something to do it, but they've got
But
they've
they've
learned
been
how to
doing it for like
do
50,
more.
70 fucking years. Like, Elminster is in the Baldur's Gate. He's not in the movie, but he's in, or the Honor Among Thieves movie. I don't know if he's in any of the other movies, but he is. Elminster is basically like Gandalf in the Forgotten Realms. He is so powerful, and he knows all these different people and how to. He's like Gandalf. He's submersed into the lore. The same thing with Belgarath and the Belgariad and the Malorian. Belgarath is almost 7,000 years old. He knows everybody. He knows your cousins already. You don't have to introduce him. I mean, he doesn't know them, but he knows that they're alive. And, oh, you came from this family. You guys used to live under a rock 1,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Nice castle.
I know
Good
you.
job. Yeah. There's certain families that he's like, okay, this is a breeding, like Gandalf. There's certain Gandalf and Belgarath do the same thing through their lineage of being in their worlds, where they're basically breeding people to get certain humans to do certain things and certain and Belgarath,
they have an awareness of what's coming.
There's only
And
humans, but Gandalf has to deal with elves and humans, and he's dealing with that as long as dealing with the human. And that's frustrating because elves in D&D, elves don't die unless you kill them or they get cursed or sick or poisoned or they don't have like a lifespan. They'll live 3, 4, 5,000 years. There's some of them that are like 8,000 years old. They don't do anything. They don't leave the palace. They just make art or music all day, or but they don't. Where the reverse is the Drow. They're like Klingons, man. They have such a violent lifestyle that you're lucky to get 500.
They live under the ground and all they care about. If they didn't kill each other, they would live as long as their brethren above ground. But they hate everybody, including themselves.
The demon spider queen won't let that happen. She wants them all killing each other. That's what lawful. Oh, wow! I really segued a lot. But Tolkien was the first one to give. I know, sorry. Evil like orcs and trolls and shit like that, like cities, and that translates over to D&D. Like I was talking about the primaterial plane, then the astral plane, then the ethereal plane. Then you get to the outer planes, which are basically like the planes of the gods and the deities and the. Then, if you want to cast, then definitely Shadowrun is more of your game. But that's, you just keep rolling the dice, and until you fail your drain, you're godlike. And the more being an initiate and being in Shadowrun is probably the closest to being a demigod that you can play, like being a very high-powered Jedi in Star Wars, because only dragons and so you have totems in Shadowrun, and you have the elements like fire, earth, air, water. Those things are hugely influential, but they don't have like a conscience that guides things. They're more of like a collective push, if that makes sense. So like
more like a power source.
Mages use the elements, and they eventually incorporate an element into their astral persona and their ethereal persona, but they don't like worship the element. It's just the conduit that they've synced with. Where a totem, you become really close to the owl totem, the dog totem, the wolf totem, the cat totem, the raven totem, the owl, the gargoyle, the knight, the whatever the totem is. So you are getting fed constantly, and a lot of times once you get way powerful, the totem will just give you the spell. Oh, 5th level wrecker now. Well, you've done so much for the you're basically serving a god, even though it appears to you as a totem, that a giant Indian totem that's made out of different variations of the same. It looks like whatever you want it to. It's your imagination. That's the beauty of the game.
It's like fetishes that pop.
But with Shadowrun, you have the flip side where you've got the negative aspects of what I just explained. So, oh my God, this used to frustrate me. And I hope he's one day a viewer of the show, but Billy Marsden, I want to play a toxic shaman. No, dude, that's like playing an anti-paladin. You don't understand. No, I really want to play a toxic shaman. You gave me the books and I read about it and I'm like, no, these are like, okay, when you're doing magic, you create a bell, like they explain in the Belgariad and the Malorian, which was he was well versed because he and his brother were where I learned about the books from. It's like it's keep it the same concept. So if you're a Gorim cleric and you're serving Torak and you go into Bel Air's area, what's going to happen? Oh, the clerics of Bel Air are going to know immediately that you're there and they're going to come beat the shit out of you and kill you. You're very smart. I don't have to figure this out for you.
Playing the most, playing the darkest
biggest asshole on the
the pure evil. Those that want to be chaotic evil in Dungeons and Dragons or of a similar condition in these other role playing games, they end up finding out because everybody thinks, oh, it's going to be fun. I get to be a bad guy, kill everybody, I can do whatever I want. There's repercussions that come back because.
Now
you're the biggest asshole. They want you They want you, period.
When you initiate and when you get into the magical community, they're looking for these guys. They're out to get them. They're hunting for them because they are the Melkor Sauron equivalent in the Tolkien world. They create discourse. They fuck shit up. They hang out in toxic waste areas, in landfills. They are there where the city is decaying. They pay gangs to break stuff and ruin things. They're the bad guys. And I think that it was so many years of hunting them down and killing them. The intelligent mind eventually goes, why are we doing this? Wait a minute. We haven't really experienced their side of it. So then one day he's like, I want to play a Toxic Shaman. How's that going to fit into the rest of the group? No, we should all play Toxic Shaman. Okay, I know where this is going. This sounds cool, but this is actually a terrible idea. Well, why is that? It's like, dude, this is Watership Down. It's like being in the Warrens. You're a rabbit. You have 1,000 enemies. Everyone is trying to kill you. Corporations, the local police, the local society, all of your local mages, all of your local shamans, all of your, the adepts are pretty much not going to bother you unless they're told to kick your ass, but, oh my God, they live for a fight. They're the equivalent of juicers and riffs. Because if you're a hermetic mage, you spend all your time with calculations and all that other shit, and then everybody's like, join our shadowrunning. Hey, you want to kill people for money? There's a lot of money. So much money. Oh my God, I have bills. I need money, and spells are expensive, and so is gear. And, Giggity, you talk about, I want to cast indefinitely. There are things called locks and fetishes in Shadowrun, which are the next level. You could get them at a lower level, but I really don't want you to have them because that's giving the chimpanzee a firearm.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you
prepared for those.
The problem is that a fetish is a disposable or sometimes reusable when you get way powerful. It's an item that, Rob, Mana Ball. You're a combat mage and you work for a Shadowrunning team. You used to work for Mitsuhama, and you're gonna have to break into Mitsuhama, and you know that this one area has magical creatures in there, so you're gonna need a little heavier firepower to kill the pick one, whatever. There's a lot of different magical creatures that are a real pain in the ass in the game because it's D&D and Shadowrun. So you'll learn Mana Ball at level 8 with a disposable fetish. So what that means in gaming terms, when Rob casts the spell, he's going to gather all of the 6-sided die for his sorcery and his magic theory, and then the dice for the level of the spell. So he's probably got a good 20-something dice. And my job is to, let's say he's casting the spell at level 8 with a disposable fetish. So he's going to roll all of his dice. And for his body, he's only going to take drain at level 6, and the fetish is going to absorb and be destroyed for those next 2 power levels up for that spell, because as incredibly amazing and awesome magic is in Shadowrun, it's fantastically chaotic and dangerous. If you fuck up your rolls, you could literally destroy the planet if you're doing a really powerful spell. And it's almost happened a lot of times in a lot of the different iterations of the games, because some people know what they're doing, most people don't, and then they become super powerful, and now it's the Dunning-Kruger effect, and you just rip the fabric, and now all this shit's coming through from the astral plane.
Like, oh, well, guess what? The game's over. Why is that? He rolled all 6s on 40 dice.
So
we're done.
Yeah, you're going to do the damage of an 8-level spell, but when you do your drain, your numbers are 6. So you're going to take all of your drain, and then you want to iterate from your combat pool or your karma pool, because different DMs are different on combat pool and karma pool. I believe you're supposed to be a superhero because you guys are the main characters of the. So I allow you to dip into your karma pool, and I allow it to be refreshable. A lot of DMs it's a one-shot only. You want to use a karma pool? That's because your karma pool is basically your level. Every time you get 5 hash marks, you put a 1. So you have to get so many karma points to get 1 karma pool. Because you have pools in the game. You have a combat pool, a karma or a decking pool, and a magic pool. And these are for doing the shit that your character does, whether you're conjuring a spirit or an elemental, or you're conjuring, whatever, or you're just doing sorcery or evading or protecting or doing whatever you need to do. It's going to be different versions of it depending on the scenario. So one thing that's interesting is you don't have like demons, but how can that be if you've got totems that are animals? There's got to be a swing. And if you got elements, well, the dragons and a couple other hybrids of critters that I don't want to talk about it because I want them to be a surprise later if we ever play, which we will. But they don't really have that, but they literally have the stuff of nightmares. And it's insects. So instead of having devils and demons, you have the bug totems. You've got cicada and roach and fly and wasp, and the only one that it's like Warhammer 40K. The only one that can be considered good is the plague god, because he does love his followers and all of his gifts are gifts. But it's horrible plagues and disease and putrefaction. So it's the same thing with the bugs, where the only good bug shaman is the mantis shaman. But guess what happens if you get intimate? It plays out.
Yep, we're gonna have a good time. We'll just leave it at that.
The bugs are like the Flamori in Werewolf the Apocalypse. So you're already corrupted, but you're a mage or a shaman or an adept, and you have magical abilities. And if you're a mage, I'm a dog shaman, but I hear this darker voice. So the bug, like the dark side of the Force, kind of slowly breadcrumb corrupts you over time, the individual. And the bugs create a bug shaman, and these things are, imagine Jeff Goldblum at the end of the Fly movie, but instead of being all crippled and disabled, he has the superpowers that he had at the beginning of the first transfer, when he can pick up a 120-pound woman and run up steps like he's running a 50-yard dash because his sex drive is quadrupled. You're literally dealing with him, a cross between the two. They look human, but if you look at them in the astral plane, that's not a fucking human. That's the stuff of nightmares. And okay, you all owe me for this. Here's the stuff I'm not supposed to tell you, but I'm going to tell you anyways. You can't just kill a bug. You have to kill the bug in the astral plane, and you have to kill the bug in the primaterial plane. So when you go, what's so lovingly referred to as, God rest his soul, Bill Paxton, bug hunting, you're doing it on several levels, and you can't do it. If you're a bunch of street shaman, you can't do it without magical, you can't do it without an initiate group. And if you're an initiate group, you can't really do it without muscle. You need to have them there. They've got to be there. You've got to have somebody guarding your back. Because fighting a bunch of bug in a bug area is like fighting a vampire coven. There's going to be ghouls. There's going to be daytime protectors. There's going to be... In Shadowrun 2055, they walled off Chicago because lightning bugs and cicadas took it over. Because the bugs hate each other. They don't get along. Flies are at war with cockroaches. Wasps are fighting mosquitoes. It's hell. So all of their astral planes are all fucked up when you go out there to the meta planes and the meta magics and all of the, like we talked about with the Onion for D&D. It's the same for almost every goddamn game. For Wraith, the Oblivion, for the White Wolf, it's the same as. Dude, thank you. Thank you so much for watching. You have a great night. We'll get you on here. Especially, what are you doing next week? We got to hear all about your haunted house experiences. It's Halloween, damn it. We're not, I don't know. Eddie and Courtney are working at Sanctum of Horror. I got to go there. We'll see. It's easier to do this, though, now that I'm old. You have a good one. Thanks for viewing. Thank you. I appreciate it. But, oh, yeah, I'll teach you all about D&D. Don't worry. Well, I've been playing for a long time. Take it easy. I miss doing the haunted houses. I really do. I got the itch. Now, all of the time, I accidentally scare people, and then I don't follow up on it. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to scare you. That's it. I have taken my training seriously, and it's been kept up with me because it doesn't really leave you, and you don't, you just walk around being you. But you've kind of trained yourself to be cognizant, to stay in shadow, to stay out of the line of sight, to, sneak up on people. I can remember Lauren, who, oh my God, we haven't done a Body and Soul candle. Please buy Lauren's candles. They're fucking amazing. When I had a job, I used to buy hundreds of dollars of candles from her because everybody loves them. I was sending them across the country. She does an amazing job. I mean, I love candles, but her candles are next. They're amazing. And Jocelyn and I and Lauren were all talking, and we were walking, and I was listening, and I didn't say anything. And Jocelyn is the wife of my supervisor, Jameer. We all get along, and dude, I would love to have Jameer join one of our games. I still owe him one of these steampunk lights. Don't worry, I'm a Taurus. I live life like an elf. Time is meaningless. I've got 1,000 years to finish that. Don't worry. I want it to be special, and I have to be in the mood. But now I'm running out of time. Oh, so the three of us are walking, and we walk into Lauren's cubicle, and Lauren sits down in her chair, and Jocelyn sits down in the nice chair next to her, and I kind of sit on. It's one of those rolling, tiny filing cabinets that has a cushion on top of it. So it's like you're filing while you're working, while you're sitting. Put this one in here and take this one in here. I need these for the switchover, but those are old. And then, so it's one of those kind of And they're in full conversation, and they're narrowed in on each other, and a pause comes, and all of a sudden I go, this was back in like 2018, and I said, I know exactly what you're talking about. And Jocelyn looks over at me, and Lauren fucking screams and jumps up. It wasn't a scare. It was a startle. There's a huge difference. She's like, oh, my God. I don't know. I'm like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Yes. I did not mean to scare you. That was how could you not see me? I'm sitting in your cubicle. I'm right next to her. And even Jocelyn was like, yeah. I don't know. I was focused on you, and I didn't even see him. I'm like, I got the obfuscate, baby. Just like the Nosferatu.
Trade. You do not see me. I am not the coworker you're looking for.
I will make the phone calls you don't want to deal with. I will call New York because it's funny for me. I miss that. I used to get in 2016 they hung up on me. In 2019 they thanked me for calling and told me how much of a pleasure it was to hear again. I'm on hold. This is a practice in Manhattan. Thank you for calling Dr. Schoenfeld's office. This is Maureen. How can I help you today? Hi, this is Bill with CVS Caremark, Silverscript at Medicare D. I am calling on behalf of... Hello? Call again. Same bit. I miss Maureen, so I want to meet her. I just want to know what she looks like. I swear to God, she sounds like that. And I had people call her, and then I did her voice, and they're like, oh, my God, you're like exactly like her. I'm like half autistic. This is one of my powers. I get the sweating, the strength, the storytelling, and the being a mimic. It's why I'm obsessed with, like, Alec Guinness and Peter Sellers and Bill Hader from Saturday Night Live when he does John Malkovich. I do not talk like that. Yes, you do. Oh my God, have you not watched your own movies? You totally talk like that. And I would call, because you don't get a call from them every day. It's Medicare. It's totally random. Over a 3-year period that I was out on the floor, because the first 6 months I was just doing data entry and processing all day, but I was working 14 hours a day, 6 days a week. And Sandra Crabtree, I want to have Sandra on for like crafting. Sandra does a lot of like little crafting stuff. It's that, and I've exposed her to all this weirdness. And one day it's just she and I. It's very early. We're in the morning. He said, I'm going to have to slow down soon because, I don't want to sound like an egomaniac because you can't hate yourself and be a narcissist. But you can become an egomaniac because egomania and narcissism are two totally... You don't want to be too much of a nerd. You don't want to be too much of a know-it-all bore where, you want to keep it. You got to mix it up. So I said, I've noticed that there's less and less claims to grab and process now that I've been putting in 14 hours a day, 6 days a week. I'm going through a divorce. I had a bunch of issues at the previous job. Without naming names, when I started the job, I was 265 pounds. And when that was September 3rd, and then October 28th, I was 198 pounds, 199 pounds. That's unhealthy. I was so stressed out, all I did was work. That's all I did. And I just smoked weed, drank coffee, and drank soda, and drank water, and took vitamins, and I didn't have an appetite. Food was disgusting. And my marriage was, we don't need to go into the deep psychological. I was at a low point, you brothers, So, getting into that, I kind of like became work because I don't. Oh my God, I got to pay the mortgage on my own and all this other stuff. So Bill Ivy, who's still a friend on Facebook, I love him, said, well, as long as there's work to do, you can keep showing up. So Sandra looks at me and just was quiet for a minute, and I don't want you to become a egomaniac, but yeah, you've basically done 3 months worth of work in a month and a half. The power of angst, folks. Because I would just put my headphones on and they were all talking, but what pissed me off is all of them were watching movies and shows and the one guy, football, on his phone. It's like, I don't have to turn you in. Dude, Bill's walking around and he can see the numbers every day. So I just head down, feed forward, here we go. So then I get moved out into the thing, and I'm not really good at what I'm doing, but they figure out real quick that I have a call center. I've got the radio announcer voice, and I've got the call center. So then I start, and this is how Amanda and I met, well, not Amanda, she's an introvert, but she's not a bureaucrat by any stretch of the imagination. But the rest of them are introverts and bureaucrats. They don't even like talking to each other. They can barely handle being near one another in the cubes. I'm an extrovert. So before I know it, Carol told me that you made a phone call for her. Will you make a phone call for me? Please, please, please. I'll do anything. Look, if you show me how to process this claim, okay, I don't know anything about UFCs, and it's going to take me 100 times to learn this because I'm retarded with stuff. It's going to take me longer to learn things that are boring and uninteresting than things that I find, unless it's history. But this is all medical mumbo jumbo, and most of it's. I lost all faith when we mailed a 3-cent check into an envelope with a 38-cent stamp from Arizona to Washington. All we're doing is meaningless. This could have just been a deposit in their account and fucking PayPal. Oh my God, really? 3 cents? Well, she had an aspirin. 3 cents! So that's what the job was. But on the other hand, then there were people that were in there because for Medicare D, it's for 5 days. So then there were people that I helped this. He started crying when I did it because he was fighting. I'm sorry I didn't get your phone call back. I was out of town burying my dead wife. That's not something you tell me at my job. I immediately get on the knee. The sword comes out. So I swear by the Templars, this will be done. So then I went to my boss and I went, teach me how to use the red tape to defeat the red tape. And Bill started laughing. He's like, hey, wait a minute. What? Okay. He's already filled out the paperwork 5 times. We owe him over $600 because his wife he was on a fantastic, he's 90 years old and he's on just everything. He's just on everything. Brain, eyes, all the way past his dick, his elbows, his knees. He's just suffering. And I tried to get a hold of him, and I tried to get a hold of him, and I tried to get a hold of him, and you don't understand. I'm old school. Work isn't just work. I'm not a teenager anymore. I actually care now for some reason. That's what age does to you and having kids does to you. Wait a minute. All this ridiculousness is ridiculous. We need to be serious now. First 40 years of childhood is the hardest, folks. It's 100% pure barf. We're not joking around. So I basically this is like the story I tell. Tell us about a time when you went above and beyond for a customer. Let me tell you of Chicago and how I saved the day for an elderly man. He started crying when I finally got him on the phone, person to person, because for the longest time we talked through. I've got the radio announcer voice and I make it funny. So they immediately call me back. And I was there 4 years and I only screamed at 3 patients and I talked to thousands of people. That's pretty damn good. The first lady, HIPAA. The first lady was, in the beginning, sweet as honey, incredibly nice, very loving. And as things progressed, dude, I'm an hourly employee many states away. I have 40 other people to call after you, Toots. You've got my undivided compassion and attention. But only for 3 days, and you're one of 40 on my list. I only have to make 26 calls a day, but I try to switch that shit up so I can get the ball rolling. You know, the processors don't want to work, but if you give them a whole bunch of work all at once, they're like, fuck yeah, this is all done. I don't have to do anything. I can go out and smoke now. Because back then I was trying to give it up, but you can't smoke when you're in the huge beginning of the Depression and dealing with the ending of a marriage. And we were, almost 2 decades, so it was pretty deep. And I was one of those guys, okay, I say I've been married 3 times, but I've only actually been engaged twice and then engaged and married. But if you're in a relationship for 2 years and you move several times and go through all of those holidays, that's a marriage. You're just, anyway. And then if you have a kid, you're going to be talking to one another for the end of time. So I'm deeply ingrained in this, and then, I got through. When you fill out the form and turn it into Medicare D, to get your Medicare D, you pay into it to get reimbursed on your self-administered drugs and vaccinations. So if you're in there and the doctor or the nurse or anybody says, swallow this, rub this on your arm, put this on your foot, that's a self-administered drug. They handed it to you, you swallowed it, you rubbed it in if it's Bengay or whatever. Maybe you got to, whatever the issue. That, because you can't bring your medication into the hospital. That's illegal. And they give you medication. So if you're on gabapentin or Lipitor or, dude, name one. Oh my God, there's so many. So because they're all classified. So a lot of my job was hunting down day supply, quantity, the NDC number. Okay, let me give everybody a huge... For one, the world is missing out. There is a website that's private, and it's only used by pharmacists all over America, and it's called MedHawk. And it's better than watching videos of people... What did I just do? Okay. Basically, this is a website where pharmacists log on and just fucking scream at each other. Because pharmacists, I used to think daycare providers were the most miserable people on the planet. No. It's pharmacists. They literally hate their existence. And then they go on to other pharmacists. And the worst part of this is none of them know each other or know the context of what's going on with the patient. So you just have a pharmacist at a hospital say that this patient got this amount of drugs. So there's no cross-referencing with... So then you have, like, the Walmart pharmacist log on, read this, like you would yell at somebody, like I do, on Facebook and start screaming at them. You're a moron. So then you have pharmacists screaming at each other about medication. This person is on this and they're not taking it and blah, 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 blah. Hey, dipshit, if you give them that many milligrams of this stuff, you're going to give them cardiac arrest. Fuck you, dumbass. I mean, this is a hospital. They're already on this. Don't you know that counteracts the... why I wish I could take that. I can't touch this. It's all HIPAA. This is the greatest thing ever, and the public is denied this level of rage from human being to human being. It's the equivalent of road rage or watching Raiders fans fight with whatever team they're playing. I don't know
anybody.
Anybody. I don't know much about football. It's the soccer hooligan equivalent of the medical, because most doctors, and they may go like, oh, that guy, but they don't like rage on each other. They don't get mad. They don't. But pharmacists fucking scream at each other on this website, and it's the greatest thing ever. And only people in the industry know about it and can read it because, well, I mean, it's people's medical information. You don't want that getting out. But if you could just block out all of I mean, I had to check this periodically because when I became a processor too, I checked it every day, and they would just hear me bust out laughing from my cubicle because, it's pure comedy. This is just like, why are you this emotionally vested on a medication that a stranger is taking? You're not a doctor. You're not that patient's doctor. You don't know this person. This is John Smith in somewhere elsesville, Arkansas, USA, or Oregon, or, it's all over the country. Oh, my God. I miss that more than anything. Just nonstop, like, oh, my God. But, yeah, I ended up calling all over the... Well, you heard me. Or no, I don't think you were there for that. No, I wasn't working from home. You heard me on the... when I was an authorizer for American Home Shield, when I was dealing with that. Yeah. The best was that we're going to put the customer service center in the Philippines. Well, the Philippines do a fine job. They're hard workers. There's no denying that. The problem is that the majority of the calls that you guys are dealing with are crisis calls. And Americans don't handle it well when they're dealing with a foreigner in another country when they're having a crisis. So it was very challenging later into the job because I would log on and get all ready, and some of these people have been waiting 3 hours to talk to an authorizer. So that means the plumber's been standing in your kitchen for 3 hours waiting to talk to me. And I'm going to try to get him off the phone as quickly as possible. And the women in the Philippines can't wait to give you the phone fast enough. They're just like, here, wait, hold on. Who am I talking to? What's going on? Hi, who are you? Oh, I'm Jim from A1 Plumbing. Oh, okay, Jim. Dude, what's going on? I fixed it, dude. It's over. Is it covered? Hold on, let me look. Yeah, it's covered. You're good. Thanks. Oh, my God, I got to get out of her house. He's not leaving till I fix that. Ma'am, that is kidnapping. That is a federal offense. You really want to... She locked the door, and I don't want to have to punch this old lady. Please don't. Let me explain it to her. Look, I know you're upset, but he can't fix it with the stuff he brought with him. He's going to have to come back. Go to the grocery store, get a couple gallons of water, and a bucket from Harbor Freight. There is a book somewhere in the Midwest, because I really started writing down all these stories, and I wanted to make a book like Chicken Soup for the Soul, and but I wanted to do it for plumbers, and I wanted to give it an industry title. I think I talked about this before, I probably have. I was going to call it Get Your Hands Off My Ball Cock, because the ball cock is an actual serious piece of machinery in the toilet. Yeah, it's in your toilet at home. It's that thing that counterbalances the. And I was telling plumbers this because there was a guy in Wisconsin that went to a frat house because the sink wouldn't drain, and the boys didn't know what to do. The sink won't drain. The sink won't drain. So he took the garbage disposal apart, and he realized that they were using the garbage disposal as a garbage. There was cans in there and the cigarette butts and No! Oh, my God! Where are all of you from, you bumpkin morons? No. There was a tuna can in there. He was very mad about the tuna can. He brought it up like 3 times in a 40-minute conversation. Because because I've got to get all the, where are you from, who are you working for? Okay, what did you do? Tell me. Okay, it's this much. Okay, now I got to check their coverage. Okay, it's the yes, yeah, okay. But there's some good in the world. There really is. I got a call from a guy, and he was very embarrassed, and it was somewhere in the Midwest. I don't even remember. It was so long ago. There were so many phone calls, and no charge for this one. No charge for this. Well, what did you do? Well, we didn't do anything. Well, I can't. You decide whether you want to charge him for coming out. No, not for this one. Not ever. We're never going to charge for this. This is not. Okay, what's going on? It says here that the water wouldn't turn off. Is it the cartridge? Is it the O-ring? Did the screw go out on the handle? What do we get? No. Everything's fine. Wait. What do you mean everything's fine? That's ominous. So this plumber, he's like sad. He's very like upset. Like not on the verge of crying, but just I don't want to say defeated because it has a happy ending. They get a call. They get an emergency call. She can't turn the shower off. Oh, shit. Okay, that's serious. Can you get out to the main? Oh, no. I can't get the shower off. The plumbers go out there. They can't get her to open the door. She won't open the door. They finally, they get neighbors or her son. No. They end up getting in they break in, plumbers break into this lady's house. Again, I'm sorry that all these stories fucking just stack on one another. She had passed out. She got so upset she passed out. She couldn't turn the shower. No. She meets them at the door, and I'm sorry. Again, there's so many stories. Some of them are gross. This one is not. This one is sad. She meets them at the door. She lets them in. She can't turn the shower off. The plumber literally walks upstairs to her master bedroom and goes. She flips out because it's off. Sorry. She basically starts getting all upset. She is like freshly out of the hospital, chemo, fighting cancer. She had the hand strength to turn it on, but didn't have the hand strength to turn it off. She
couldn't overcome the pressure. Yeah.
She's so embarrassed and overwhelmed and all upset that she starts crying and then passes out. While these two plumbers are in there, and they're just like, oh my God. They call the paramedics, and now they're frantically going through her phone trying to find her family to call her to let them know that she's now back on her way to the emergency room because these guys think they killed her. It's funny now. It was not at the time. Because I'm on the other end of the phone with this just after the ambulance picked them up. I can still hear walking through the house because the cops don't know what's going on. Passed out lady, two plumbers, what the fuck? The plumbers try to lock her door, and they stay there, and they wait for her son, her adult son, to come after he goes to the hospital to make sure his mother's okay, and then comes and tells these poor plumbers, she's all right, you guys are awesome, 5-star review, oh my God, because they're like, oh, this is like a Tuesday. These guys, they were shook because everybody has family. You immediately start thinking about your mom and your grandmom and your aunt and everybody you love. And oh my, she just like had a meltdown because a lot of them have a meltdown, but it's due to the situation. And this was like, what are they? This is so out of their scope of being a plumber, but completely in the, you get 5 stars for being a good fucking human. Hooray for you.
Yeah.
I hope somebody like you is around when, my family can't be, because that's the best thing about being a human is just doing the right thing. But there were the best one is how, what's it called when a thought goes around the world and a bunch of different people in the different areas get the same idea?
Oh,
This literally happened to me at American Home Shield. I get a call from a woman a plumber. He went to fix a woman's dishwasher, and she had taken like the glass jars after she had melted down all the candles, and then put them in the dishwasher and then washed them with wax and wicks still in them. My dishwasher won't empty, and it's leaking all over my kitchen.
yep.
He said the wax puck was almost twice as thick as a hockey puck. It looked like an alien world. It was an exact wax replica of the inside of her dishwasher. And then, I shit you not 2 months later, a woman in Wisconsin or Minnesota did it. And the whole time I'm like, deja vu in real time. Usually deja vu is that feeling of, whoa! And then it leaves after, unless it's really intense, it leaves after a couple minutes. But this is like the whole phone call. Put candles in dishwasher. Oh my God! We don't cover that, right? It's not covered. Denied. Sorry.
We do now. How come? Because it keeps happening.
Yeah, we got to write it in. Yeah. People are stupid with plumbing. I had at least 8 calls of old women who the toilet broke and they didn't know what to do, so they just started using the cat box. Oh, God. Oh, my God. I've done a lot of stupid things. I've been really drunk, but there's a couple things I've never done.
Never fought the cat for the use of the box.
No, it's yours. I'll go outside.
I'll get in the car and drive down the block because there's a gas station.
Yeah. Oh, God. It's 3 a.m.
Oh.
They're open. Trust me. The guy's lonely. He'll want to talk to you. Or
right.
he won't.
QT. That's where we go.
Yeah,
QT.
Reading a good book. But that kind of has to, I did. That's how not to be an egomaniac, is to keep par for the course. And I became the bet I had, in 4 years, I had 7 supervisors. And Sean was one of my favorite because Sean was stoic and quiet, ex-military, had his motorcycle. I loved hanging out with Sean. But he rarely talked, and that's okay. I'll fill in the gaps. He sat directly behind. He was in the cube. If I farted, he knew. He was in the car. I didn't. He was in the cube directly behind me. And we would have, before I became the lead, before he and Jameer and Enrique changed everything, I was on the team that called all the places, because that's, you don't need to teach me how to process, because I kind of understand how to do that, but I'm so good at this, and you guys don't want to do that. So just let me do this. And that's kind of what happened. So I'm getting there at, 4:30 in the morning, and I'm calling New York, Maine, Connecticut, Florida, all those places, South Carolina, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, all of that. Hello, Nantucket. Yes. Yeah, well, I need NDC numbers for this. Then I learned the greatest gift ever, because each call, I cut the time in half, because each call used to take anywhere from 20 minutes to 3 hours. The problem is that I need NDC numbers. The billing department doesn't even know what those are. The pharmacists are going to want to know what, specific things, and most of the time they can't help me. So it wasn't until I befriended an amazing woman in Chicago, and she says, I don't know why you guys always call the billing department or the other one. You should call me. As the direct pharmacy buyer, I control all of the NDC numbers in the. Why am I just learning that? Why isn't this industry information? So once I got this information, I immediately started. Hi, it's Bill from CVS Caremark SilverScript Medicare D. May I speak to your or your inpatient pharmacy buyer? The inpatient pharmacy buyer has the direct access to NDC numbers. Well, I'll give you her voicemail. She's not in till tomorrow. Awesome. Thank you. So then I would say, I need NDC numbers for these drugs. You can fax me. You can email me. You don't even have to call me back. And next morning, I got like 10 faxes. I got like 18 emails. Oh, good. Now I can call these other people. Because that's the end of it, isn't it? I mean, you know, your grandmother goes in. She stays there for 5 days. Now you send in the minute it hits the mailroom, the 14-day countdown starts. If we go past 14 days, we have fucked up, and the whole process starts that everyone is terrified. I was never at an office where a word, not somebody's name, could instill fear in 80 people with just standing up and going, auto forward, and then sitting back down. What does he say? Auto forward. Oh my God, does that happen? Who did it? I bet that's the one that was from. Oh, that's the one from Chicago. I know that because they wouldn't process. I tried to Oh my God, it's true. They're like terrified of this term because it literally like stops all of the gears, backs everything up, and well, we got to look at this now that you guys fucked this up. What did you do? You had 14 days. Auto forward. It means nothing, but it was like the most fun thing to say. And auto forward, and then
what?
They literally, you know, it's like in the movie The Hudsucker Proxy when the one guy comes out with the blue envelope and he walks down the hallway, and everyone's like, ah! It's like the parting of the Red Sea, and they give it to what's his name. To, oh, God. Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, yeah.
What the fuck is his name?
All I can ever remember is Andy Dufresne.
Yeah,
so.
That's not his real name. That's the
no,
character.
No, it's not.
It'll come to me in a second. But they give him the envelope, and then he has to deliver the envelope, and then Paul Newman tries to. I love that movie because Paul Newman's a bad guy again. You haven't seen that since, like, The Sting. Or, you know. Yeah.
Well, my brother, I got to call it.
Oh, is it 8? Oh, my God, it's after 8.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Another great night.
Yeah. We talked a lot about DnD. Giggity joined us, one of my former coworkers from the Haunt.
That is extraordinary. I'd love to be able to do that more often where people can, you know, put in questions and whatnot. And it would be even fun if we could start showing it on the screen, but that's for another time when we figure out more ways to do things. You know?
I just simply haven't. When I'm not looking up topics or working or doing car stuff when do I have time to learn about OBS and Discord and all that? We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
And then like and subscribe. We need to figure out a Patreon thing where we can do extra stuff and, you know, set that up. But that'll come with time.
We gotta start printing the cards, and then we'll figure out T-shirts or stickers or something for those that want some. And we'll go from there.
T-shirts are a whole new animal now. You know, it's more iron-ons than having the. It's easier to use your 3D printer or your awesome printer to make an iron-on for a silkscreen and mass-produce them and put them on a heat belt than it is to get the 6 or 8 octopus machine. Yeah. And, well, that's the world we live in.
Oh, yeah.
It's the same thing with what we were talking about with books just don't have the meaning that they used to have. I mean, books used to symbolize intelligence and knowledge, and books were coveted and passed down and traded. All right, I'm sorry, I'm babbling. Like and subscribe. Oh, yeah, now I got that.
Self-publish through the digital. Yep. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends. If you had a good time, tell everybody. If you didn't have a good time, keep your damn mouth shut.
Remember, in the immortal words of Smee and Blog, S&M money is the root of all evil. Except for us, we're pros. We can handle it. I'm so glad Chad remembered that, because Katney, yeah, well, she was there. She knew, but... Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Like and subscribe. We'll do it next week. I'll talk to you very soon. We should, now that it's cooling down, we'll have to have hammer therapy.
Yep, and we can record that and post it, use the cameras and everything else. Have a good time.
Because the cameras overheat, folks. It's Phoenix. It's hot. My phone overheats going out to the ranch. At your house, it overheats. Thanks very much. Have a great night.
Yep, you too. Thank you.
Thanks.
Off we go.
Absolutely.